everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today is a very exciting day. I'm going to show you how to paint this bucking bronco in the style of the artist Fredric Remington. He is one of the great artists of the golden illustration age and kind of one of the kindred spirits of the Hudson River School, which is a bunch of fun words for saying this man painted the West. Awesome. On the mic today is my husband John.
Hi guys.
He's going to be tracking me with cameras. We're going to be talking about how to get a color palette that looks like Fredric Remington so you can get that kind of feel for your Southwest art. And also there's another cool thing going on.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's that time of year. It's the Love Fall Art CAC event. So if you guys are really into creativity and you're really into fall art, this is also going on right now from the 13th to the 17th. If you use the hashtag LoveFallArt 2017, do you have the graphic?
I think I do. Hold on just a second here. Let me see. I go.
There we go. So if you search that hashtag right there, you're going to populate your search bar with a bunch of really cool art projects that are about fall art. I've seen a really cool phone case today, and guess what? Mona did a piece.
Oh, yeah?
Our own Mona did a piece, and she's got this really cool blowing hair, and it's really awesome, and you should definitely check that out. You might discover somebody that YouTube wouldn't think to show you.
Here, let me give you that one more time there so you can see.
Yeah.
I can get full screen.
Woohoo!
So there you go.
So if you don't know what the CAC is, that's a creative arts collaboration. That's just a bunch of art and craft YouTubers. We get together and we do sort of themed events on occasion so you guys, the viewers, can kind of go on a free video art festival and check out some different creativity. I love the algorithm, but sometimes the algorithm doesn't know me as deeply as I would like it to know me.
Yes.
So that's going on. So those two things. This is day 4 of Southwest Art Week. It's a blur now. I think it's 4.
We teach art, not math. Don't make me count.
We don't teach art, not math. So I'm so excited about doing this. You can find this reference. Yes, we're going to have a traceable. I'll put that up right after the show. Everything is on the webpage for free. So you can come get that. This is my reference. I should tape that up somewhere so I know what I'm doing. Otherwise, I won't know what I'm painting. And we can talk about the color palette because when we're talking about Remington, that'd be sort of interesting.
We got picture-in-picture for them here, so I've
got
that.
Yeah. And this is my picture-in-picture. Taped to my... Taped here?
You tape it anywhere you want. You just tape them up.
Tape them up, man. And I have his painting to reference the side so I know what kind of colors I'm going to look at. And I'm just going to talk about that a little bit. So Fredric Remington actually painted on location. Try to think of him as the Jimmy Olsen of his day, of magazines and stuff like that, except he hung out with like the cavalry and went on bear hunts. So kind of a cooler Jimmy Olsen. And he would paint, and he actually, this is sort of interesting, got a lot of grief about his color palette because, you know, like a crazy artist, he painted what he saw, and everyone's like, what's going up with your colors? I don't get that shadow. And he's like, that's the color of a shadow. He was one of the first artists.
He's like, no. This is what it looks like.
I stood out in the dust, had dirt in my teeth. That's the color of a shadow, which was interesting, carmine and blue. So we're going to be actually using some of those colors today. Let's check out our palette. So it's very difficult to find exact information about Fredric Remington's exact color palette, but I did a lot of color mixing, and I pretty much came up with this. Now, I've got out some ultramarine blue. I've got out some zinc, not zinc white, titanium white. I've got out yellow ochre, yellow oxide. I got burnt sienna, burnt umber, Indian yellow. I put out a smidge of cadmium red. This is actually going to be part of my shadow. I've got cadmium orange, I've got diox purple, and in the center I have zinc white. Couple of things on color. If you did the still life with me and you happen to have some of that Naples yellow from Golden or Liquitex Heavy Body, you don't got to mix some colors. You get to have an easier time. This is like your yoga block. It's going to be really easy because we're going to be mixing a type of Naples yellow, which we did solve the whole mystery of all the Naples yellow.
Yes. So
this will be historical Naples yellow, which apparently is not what I'm painting with. When I was painting with the different Naples yellow.
Oh, well, there you go.
Paint companies. So I'm going to show you guys how to mix that. If you don't have cadmium orange, you're going to need to mix your cadmium orange using some cad yellow and some cad red light. So that's how you get around that. You guys ready to start up?
Yes, very much so.
Let's get this background sky in. So the sky is a really interesting color. It's a, let's take out a smidge. See this? I've got a little palette knife here that I am testing. And, oh gosh, what does that look like? 5 parts to your white.
Yeah, did you say how many hoots this one is?
This is going to be a good 2.5 hoot.
So on a scale of 1 to 3, this is a
2.5.
2.5 to 3.
Yeah, because we got some drawing, but I have some shortcuts and some stuff to make this a little easier for you. So I'm trying to mix up the sky color. Now this is going to be a little, just a smidge too purplish. So to get that desert, see how little this is? This is a smidge of my burnt umber over here. Just taking a little and knocking this back so it's bright, but not so bright as to not feel like it's part of the West. So this is the ultramarine. If you do phthalo, this will go real green on you, and it won't feel like the right color sky.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got to make sure that we got the nice color. And I like to check mine against my photo. So what I like to do every once in a while is just like, is this okay? And then, oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Just a quick tone check?
Yeah, I do. I just check it. Check it against your printout. Check it against your reference photo. That's not cheating. That's something you should probably be doing. Right? If you were plein air painting, you'd be checking it against the actual sky. So I have a nice amount mixed up here, right?
Yeah.
I've got that aside. Now I'm going to mix sort of my ground color because I'm going to have to blend the sky into my ground because there's a dust up going on for this cowboy,
It goes from sky to dirt.
So now we go the opposite way. I'm going to need to put out some more white. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow ochre and a lot of my titanium white. I'll be definitely putting out, this is my zinc right here. So I'm making this color, but this isn't quite perfect, right? So here we go for the color of the dirt. And if you're talking about how Remington liked to paint things, right? Mm-hmm. The way he saw the world out there in the desert. Now here's where we're going to come get a smidge, that's a good smidge, of the orange. And this was a whole funny conversation that we had in group, if you ever get to be part of our group, where I was like, that's not Naples yellow. And they're like, no, that's for sure Naples yellow. Mix that right from my tube. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I mixed mine. I'm like, no, you'd have to start with this. And then it was like, oh, read the pigment colors on the tubes because manufacturers can call anything anything if they feel like it. So see, this is a Band-Aid color.
Yes.
Like you have. You're going to take a smidge, interestingly enough, of your purple and add that into your Band-Aid color to get right into our dirt and the dirt that Fredric Remington saw.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have just the Naples yellow, you get to skip all the previous steps and just smidge it with a little bit of purple. And you can always rock it back with a little brown.
Gotcha.
So now that I have these two basic colors, and I'm offloading my palette knife. And I'm using my palette knife so I can mix a large amount enough and kind of measure out.
Right.
The amount I'm putting out. I'm still going to want some more white, so I'm going to grab some. This is titanium. The zinc is a little pearlescent, and that's how I tell them apart.
Ah.
If you're wondering like how I keep that straight, that's how I keep that straight. All right, I'm going to get, I think I'll start with just this nice number 30. My mom was showcasing this last night. This is nice, big, bright. It's got synthetic filaments. If you have some of these brushes, you could grab one of these or one of the 2-inch ones. Yep. Really what you're looking for is a nice flat wide that isn't going to hold too much water, but will still hold some water. See, I'm just loading the brush there.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna load the brush. And I'm going to come across here. And it was real interesting looking at this photograph and then going, what's Remington's color palette? How do I take this photograph and make it feel like one of these paintings?
Well, it's really interesting. It's really smart putting that purple in there because it's, how do you make, dirt blend with the sky?
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure that this cowboy has had that thought many a times as he's been tossed from this horse.
Well, I'm sure that cowboy's had a whole moment in his life.
But, adding purple is a really neat way of... Mm-hmm. And, now that you've said it, I see it.
Yeah. So we're trying to make this day. Have you ever been out in a day in like the fall in Texas or in the Southwest where it was just dry and sunny and it just all the colors sort of just washed away? This is what we're trying to capture here. So now I'm going to take this color and I actually mix it right into my sky color, and that's going to help me make my gradation. And I'm going to start here because I want this really blended background, don't I, of the dust. And the only way I'm going to do that, get that, is if I manually create that. You know, and I may come back with a little brown, but we're just trying to create the ombre in the underpainting that's going to make this dusty little moment look authentic. So see how we have just a really subtle blend? Can the camera see this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting a little worried. I was like, can the camera see it?
Let's see if you look over, look up at your reference camera. You can see.
Oh, okay. All right. So we're seeing a very. So as we're moving forward into our ground, we're kind of awesome, aren't we?
Yeah.
As we're moving forward into our ground, we now have the foundation for that dusty, dusty moment. This Remington liked to capture these real moments because he understood that this world was vanishing very quickly. And I'm not saying he was a wholly good person, because like sometimes he definitely did come down on
the wrong side of history.
Yeah, he sided with the American government a couple times when he probably ought not have.
Yeah.
You know? But it's hard to look back at that because you have to realize people are also a product of their time.
Yeah, it's like, you know, man, there's some challenges that those folks faced that, you know, were not ones I envy.
You know, I come from the Google generation, so I'd like to think I'd always be a good moral person, but then, you know, I have Google. So, that helps so much. All right, so once I have that in, I now have the foundation, even in acrylic, right? And this is key here, to get that kind of oil look, because he was an oil artist and a plein air oil artist. So as acrylic artists, we're going to have to really get good at having our soft and hard edges the way oil artists can. Sippy sippy. How are we doing today?
Really good.
Gosh, everybody, how are you?
This is an 11 by 14 canvas board. Is that right?
Did I not say that?
I'm not sure if you did or not.
It's almost like I don't make YouTube videos like 500 times.
Well, I just don't remember.
I might not have. I probably did. 11 by 14 canvas board.
Okay. Well, no, it's okay. I was just there was
no. You're this co-captain's job, right?
So, and no, we have a list in the description below with all the materials. And I was like, you get that? You splashed some water there on your lipstick. And it looked like it flicked up and hit the camera lens, and I was just like going, how did you get it all the way up there? But it didn't actually. So
this is that cool stuff you see on Facebook right now that the little graphic is going through. Yeah. See? On a real person. Not that gorgeous model, real human.
You are a gorgeous model. You're the TheArtSherpa model. We have bubbles for you, too. See?
I would love that.
We have bubbles.
Sorry, I just need to... These live paintings, like daily, they're a thing.
They are.
To everybody got to see my mom's event last night. Hi, that was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Spider just freaked out when YouTube spoke to him. He just lost his mind.
Did he?
Yeah. Because the kids are here, so they've never had that opposite experience. Are we dancing?
We are. I guess we are. We're always, you know, we like to dance when we get to 300, but we're cruising right up on 300 here, so we'll go ahead and do our little dance now.
I think people are just like, oh
anyway.
my God, are they on again?
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a lot of folks that are really enjoying the plein air painting stuff. Talking about this background, this is something that's very interesting.
It is. It's cool.
Well, you know, and while you're doing your next part, if you could talk about what plein air painting is,
I'd love to, because this is a cool thing. I would love to somehow kidnap you all into.
So I know,
but on a luxury level. I don't do it like Rick.
Yeah.
Negalero.
No.
He does like. Wow. Bushcraft.
He's
plein air.
He's an Eagle Scout.
Let me dry this because the bubbles are...
Oh, am I messing with your bubbles? All right, I'll let you dry that real quick.
Hopefully I didn't get all speckled.
Oh, maybe I speckled her. Oh, no. I may have speckled Cinnamon. So, anyway, guys, thank you for coming and hanging out. I see there's a lot of people here who are for their first time, so thank you very much. If you need to find any of the materials or links to the traceable or any of that stuff, it's in the description down below, and that'll take you right out to our website where we have links to all the various stuff that you'll see going on here in our show, including those traceables, and that makes it a lot easier. Also, don't forget to check out the chat. There's a little drawer that'll open up, and you can chat with other Sherpettes that are hanging out in there. And looks like there's a lot of folks here. Yeah.
Glycerin and wet paint.
Glycerin and wet paint makes funky?
Makes spots. Let me fix it.
Okay, you gotta fix the spots.
I gotta fix the spots.
So we finally have found some limitation of our bubble party. Oh, and but people get to see what happens if you throw bubble party.
Yeah, if you get the glycerin into wet paint, see where it's lifted the paint right off the canvas.
We were wondering what it was going to do.
Yeah.
We finally found a
limitation.
limitation.
No, I wasn't wondering. I knew. We just usually put it on a dry canvas.
Oh, well, it's somewhat true, so we have to fix it. Sorry.
We have to fix it.
So
I'm going to be doing that again. That's an unexpected fun moment.
Bad bubble party. Bad bubble party.
The bubble party made me sad, John.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So new rule, no bubbles when the paint is wet.
Okay.
I don't add glycerin to my paint for a reason.
It does weirdo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But see, generally, if it's dry or it's just getting in there in tiny amounts, it doesn't affect it. But I guess that bubble right on the canvas certainly does. It does. Look, so you can go here and see.
It pulls it right up.
Yeah. It makes a little.
Okay. I'm just checking my color.
Seems like you're pretty good there.
I'm like, since I'm repainting
it didn't do it
anyways,
as much in the brown.
So listen, the reason I'm not panicked is because there really is very little that can happen to my canvas that I can't repair.
And just whoosh, whoosh, look at that.
I've had kids come in and help me create art and gotten it back.
Oh, yeah.
Luna used to come in and really help me get ready for shows.
Yes, she did.
Be like all ready to enter, and then there it would be. That's wonderful. This will just be 2 coats. This is not going to hurt my canvas in any way. I'm just going to have 2 coats of this color, and who knows, I probably needed 2 coats of it.
Now, if you're at home, and you probably don't need to do 2 coats.
Yeah, you probably don't, because you probably didn't bubble party
your canvas, yeah. But if you did bubble party your canvas, this is how you might fix a bubble party problem.
If you did. Here's some YouTube information you didn't even need to know.
So he's talking about plein air painting.
So plein air painting is where, as an artist, you take you and your little paints and you go outside on location and you do your work from where you're painting from. You capture your scene and you record what you see pretty quickly on the spot.
Mm.
And then a lot of times you'll come back and think about those paintings again later.
Mm-hmm.
Do I still have my blend here?
You still have blend?
Okay.
It looks very
Making
blendy.
Sure that I've got my nice dust up still. I didn't want to lose my dust up. So this is why sometimes I'm like, don't add weird stuff to your paint.
Because it does weird stuff.
Yes, it does. Like cause underbinding. Anywho.
Yep.
So right now on YouTube, I really love Rick Nicolero. He does this. He's actually in Sweden, and he builds his easel on site and pitches a tent and is like out in the woods for incredible strings. Like he'll hunt an elk and eat it and paint. But you don't have to do that. There's a plein air painting society, and generally it's just a group of people come out. They have travel easels and their equipment on site, small canvases, stay wet palettes, and you go out there using your viewfinder, you capture your scene, and as quickly as you can, you translate that to a canvas. And that is really how the Hudson School and a lot of the great American painting schools happened, was being outside and painting on site. That's how the Impressionists happened. That's where Living Shadows came from.
Yeah, and it's sort of an understatement to say that he's out camping.
You explain, Rick.
He does bushcraft.
We patron Rick.
Yeah, he does bushcraft, which is pretty awesome stuff. But just in general, yeah, we really enjoy him. You should check him out. We'll make sure we put a link to him in the description below or in the iCard over there. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody who's hanging out, because we've got a wonderful crowd of people here. Thank you all. You guys, and lots of nice questions. Yes, and by the way, we have been to Canada. Actually, our youngest, Luna, was born in Canada. So she's a dual citizen. That's kind of cool. And there was a couple other questions that I'll make sure that I capture over here and get for Cinnamon. The little spray bottle that she uses there is a micro mister, and we'll see if we can get those in the description as well. So, but thank you guys. All of the stuff's in the description below. Don't forget to check out our website, TheArtSherpa.com, and That's right. Rick does live in South. He lives in South Sweden. Yep. And so there's some other fans of him out here in our community. That's awesome.
What's awesome? Rick's awesome.
Other folks of Rick out here in the community.
What?
There's other Rick fans out here in the community.
Oh yeah, he's just the bomb.
Yeah.
We really support what he does. There's an artist in the United States, Stephen Bauman, that does it, but I just really dig Rick's deal. All right, so I'm going to make some more ground colors. So I need to get back and make my base ground color again. So I'm going to pull out my yellow ochre and at least 3 parts to the mix. Right, so this is more like cooking than baking. Though some artists take this all the way into baking where they measure exactly, right, what colors they have so that they have exact results. Now, you can use your glazing medium in this if you need to keep it from drying out quickly. So you could just put this in here. If you were using a retarder to slow the drying time down, you would have to be very careful not to over add it because it might prevent the paint from ever drying. Alright, so once I have that base down, I'm going to take a smidge of my purple in there. Oh, be like super careful with the purple. You can see it's a powerful color. Purple is a powerful color. Okay, that's silly. I'm going to add a smidge of my orange into that. See, it's going full Band-Aid now. Full Band-Aid. And I'm going to make a little bit of some darker of this that I can work with. See, I'm going there. You can even pull some of your blue over into this. I find it's okay to mix these together because what we need is some values. So see, now we've got some shadowy ground. We've got some of this dust. And what do I have over here? I have a bunch of zinc. So I'm going to get a scumbly brush, a clouding brush, whatever it is. It's just I've just got to make sure that everything is dry.
Mm-hmm.
And first I'm going to get a little of my dirt color and get some of my zinc white. I like the zinc because it doesn't alter the hue while still lightly and gently changing the value. You can tone it. So I'm just trying to create some dusty little clouds. And what I'm doing here is, if you look, I'm pushing and I'm lifting and I'm wiggling and I'm just being very gentle. This is, you don't see this. It's not a brilliant, intense value change. This is what's hard about this type of painting for artists. If there isn't, like, I like a big value change in my painting. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I like there to be a huge amount so that when I'm looking at it, I can really see it. There's a lot of contrast. But this type of painting doesn't really have that. So I'm going to be right here. And I'm just pushing this around, right? If you didn't have this brush, you would just get a little Bristle Bright. This is a number 4 Bristle Bright. And load up dry. And I'll just show you here too. And you would also be wiggling around, see? See the wiggle?
Yeah.
It's whatever, the best brush in your kit is the brush that you pull out and use. That's your best, most amazing brush. So what happened in this is, like, there's a little more orange in here. And I'm creating just some light values. This is behind the horse, and I just want to make sure that this atmosphere is here before I sketch the horse in. I'm going to freehand this horse in. I will give you a traceable. You don't have to do that.
Now, is this a painting where you could substitute the zinc white for the, or titanium white for zinc white?
I would still keep both if I could for this painting.
This is one where you really kind of need the titanium.
I would. You know, need is strong. What I would say is you can do anything in art. There's a guy that won the National Portrait Society Award, and he painted with like 2 colors. It was like insane. And you would think he used a massive complement of paints. But it wasn't like, it took him months and it wasn't an easy job. Right? So I'm just wiggling. And I'm just on the foot of my brush. I don't point in, right? Like if I point in, these stop to work. They just become like this little ballerina. You want to be on the foot. This is just almost like a more effective deer foot stippler. So you got to think of it like that. And they can get a pesky. I'm going to wipe out. If you, so you can always just dust with a little bit of your brown. And then you come get your color. Come get your zinc. We're just trying to create the light values of this dust cloud. And a soft edge. Right, where we need soft edges. And so in this case, we're getting the soft edges from very subtle value changes, right? From the background to here. And also from dry brushing. Soft edges if things are blending and blurry to the eye. Right?
Now, Patty was asking,
edges.
Are you referring to the foot as the side of the brush?
Yes.
Okay. That's sort of where the foot being where you would think that it's going to step on the canvas?
Yeah. So see right here?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just loading with zinc. Because the thing is, the zinc is very transparent. So almost even pure zinc is fine out here, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost okay. It's almost okay, man. Just playing with this thought. And you can take it up here. See how we're creating just distant atmospheric effects?
Yeah.
Relax into this experience. The West will thank you. Wipe off if ever you have too dark a pigment, and you can just come back. One of the things that I like to do is how I randomize is I'm not just doing little circles like this. A lot of times people just want to do little circles like this. But that creates a very obvious pattern, right? So what you've got to learn to do is curl back, wiggle up, calm down. You've got to learn to randomize your brush. If you're having trouble with the brush stroke, so in any painting, no matter what the hoot scale is, anybody could be having a hard time at any given time, right? And so if you find that a particular painting is just giving you a hard time, maybe take the element that's giving you a hard time, like the brush stroke, and take it to a piece of paper and practice on that until you're happy with your random brush stroke before applying it to your canvas. You don't have to work out all of your stuff directly on your canvas. So, just a small value change. Can you guys still see it?
Mm-hmm.
Oops, that was too much paint. But that's okay because this brush will pick it up really easily for me, so I'm never stuck. And I might, see this is, now it's like crazy, but on this palette, doesn't yellow ochre look so yellow? You're like, this is the most yellow paint ever. It's really not, but it's in relationship to this palette, so I just put a little more on there, and I'm going to add some yellow to my dust up. Okay?
Yep.
Some warmth to it.
Now, if, let's see.
See how it's very warm almost compared to everything else?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Okay, so Staline was asking a question here.
I would love to answer Stanley's question.
I think I pronounced the name correctly. So if you're scumbling and your base is lifting, what's causing that?
Underbinding.
Underbinding?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? So what
So
could be...
right here where I got those spots, what happened was the glycerin interfered with the acrylic paint's ability to bind to itself and to the canvas.
Okay.
And so it lifted. If your paint is lifting, there is an issue with how it's affixing. That issue can be you used too much water in the mix and the polymer couldn't set. That issue could be that the paint manufacturer did not properly manufacture the paint. That issue can be that the canvas's coating is not taking the paint. Really hard to tell sometimes, huh?
Could be dryness of how dry your paint is?
Could be that your paint isn't dry.
Or maybe your brush is too stiff?
This is a pretty stiff brush.
Well, not in all cases. I'm just saying that you're...
This is like, I'm going to take a dry one of these.
Yeah.
This is the stiffest brush on the market.
Yeah, it's not pulling it up then.
No.
So you've got to... So it's probably, if you're underbinding, it's probably something to do with the paint.
Yeah.
Binding.
And here's your fix to it. Because, like, it would be tough for me remotely to just, like, totally troubleshoot that. But if you're working with a good paint company, right, like a professional paint company, chances are they have a customer service line and they have experts and you can send pictures and a lot of times they can walk you through what's happening.
Ooh, good. That's good to know.
If it's them, they'll probably replace their paint. And if it's not them, they'll help you figure out what it is and how you can fix it.
Yeah.
I just grabbed some more zinc. I'm just really enjoying this whole little background space that I've got to put in here. I think I'm liking it too much. It's what's going on. I'm liking it too much. I'm going to get this scubbly brush that I have here. And I'm sort of liking very much this yellow oxide in my brush into my base ground color, right? Because look here how warm that is compared. It's so crazy. You look at it in the palette and you're like, that is the dimmest color I've ever seen. And then you get it on the canvas and like, it's so bright. And I'm going to just lighten up. See how I'm just going across the surface and just letting the paint just come off? Just back and forth. The pressure's super light, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of paint. Look how little paint is on this brush. If I was painting with fluid paints, this technique is really hard. If you're painting with fluid paints, you're going to need to take another step of wiping it out on a towel to get control of the fluidity of your paint. Again, you can do anything with anything, right? Anything with anything.
But it's practice, not magic.
Practice, not magic. As Miss Zoe Hung says, practice, not magic. So if I have too much, I can tap off on my towel. This is just a layer. I'm going to work out this ground and this layer. I'm just creating some layers here so that my cowboy exists in a world. This is all going to be about shadows and values and all kinds of things, right? We'll update the list of materials after the show. I'm going to dry this so I can sketch on here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at the full painting so I see where I'm at.
There you go.
So I'm starting to get there, right? It's starting to look a little dusty. There's a little effect. We're going to keep layering, and eventually you're going to be like, what happened? And you're going to be like, yeah, we awesome. Let me dry my baby.
Okay. So let me turn that down. So thank you guys again. It's nice to see you all again. Let's see here. So this week is Southwest Art Week, and Southwest Art, just to catch some folks up, because I know we have folks from all over the world who join us. Southwest Art is considered a movement of art, which centers in the southwest area of the United States, which is sort of what you would traditionally think of as the Old West, and a lot of the artwork centers around the settlement and expansion into the Wild West, which has a lot to do with both hunting and ranching and interaction with Native Americans. And so there's a lot of those influences that you see within that art form. So
are we talking Southwest art?
I was
again?
just giving some of the folks from out of the country a little idea that what the background is. So it has draws a lot of influence.
Yeah.
So
Americans have jazz and Southwest art. We're kind of awesome.
We have all different.
We got
sorts
some
of
cool
things.
stuff.
Yep.
We got donuts. We're really good at donuts.
Yep.
Just saying, travel a little bit, and we
see,
own a fried dough.
So much so that when you mix those things, you can go down to Louisiana and get those the fried what are they called? The B.
The beignets.
Beignets.
That's right.
See.
So I have to explain a thing, my darling.
Okay, you explain.
We'll talk more about beignets when we're on the beignet tour.
Okay.
So notice how in my reference photo, this is the aspect ratio of this is a little different, isn't it?
It is.
So what I would do, and also this is very static, though very true to what Remington might do, which is he would make the figure very central to the painting, right? Make the figure very central to the painting. We, however, I might actually have this back over here as I'm sketching this in. Just so it's close.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually going to move it a little bit to the right-hand side because artistically I feel that's going to add some more drama to my piece by not having him statically in the center. Anytime you move an object to your canvas in a more oriented direction, it creates interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that here because if I put him in the center, even though there's a lot of action with line, it will actually take away from some of it. We want to feel like this moment has come in from off the canvas and could exit at some point off another direction. I'm going to start sketching in the gesture and the general space of my objects, and I'll talk about how I'm doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, we're going to offer a traceable.
Of course.
So I'm going to want, about at least 3 fingers of space for the top of the cowboy, and we're going to need to have some room under the horse for the shadow. So I'm going to be kind of blocking in this space here. I'm using a General's charcoal white pencil to draw because it's a good drawing on canvas pencil. And I'm pretty excited about that. Though I learned about a new transfer paper called Serral Transfer, and I highly recommend that for transferring the tracing. All right. So I'm going to sit there and say I've got a little cowboy up here, and he's sort of at a curve. And I also have to make sure that I've left enough room for my horse, even though I'm orienting maybe more over this way.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got this nice little back. This is my process. I don't know how to explain this to you guys. I mean, I'll narrate it, but I just sort of keep sketching in gestures till I feel like I has it. Right? The horse is kind of in this bowing, and I just need to know that he's there. The horse is bowed, and cowboy is more central, but he's really bowed over as well. Trick here, by the way, if hands are your anemone, you don't have to paint that arm. It actually will still look fine without the arm. If you want to work on hands and how that gesture is created in a painterly way, this is a great painting for it. So in the center of my horse, we have a big barrel belly, right? And then I know he has his nice little withers here, his forward chest, and we've got to make sure that we've got some neck going. And we got croup and everything back here. We got to make sure. So I'm just going to check the length of the legs. I'm a little down from where I want to be. So I'm going to move the whole thing up a hair. See that?
Mm-hmm.
I can take a lot of this out with a water and brush, so I don't worry about changing things. His little legs come forward, and he's back. Can you see this on the...
Yeah, just zoomed in so I could see it a little
All right,
better.
so you guys are going to really see me work this out. If I were just sitting in my studio, this is how I'd be working it out. I'm looking for big shapes, right? So if you look at him here, this is what I'm trying to draw. I'm saying there's this, and how these go in relationship. The head comes down, the legs come down. That's what I'm trying to talk about.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll see artists do this. It's because we're finding our way in a painting.
So you're just...
Right? We're finding our way in a painting. And that's a fun thing to do, but you do have to stop and think about what's happening. Right? Like, what's happening when you're finding your way in the painting? I curve those in more. So sometimes, you know, in the lessons, it saves me some time to work this drawing out ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And draw it. But what I heard from you guys, something to know about horses. So you have a hip joint here. It's going to come here. It's going to bend. Here it's going to bend. This and this are going to be about the same length. It's going to bend here. And the hoof has to bend back like that. Just drawing a lot of horses.
Right.
So if you're working on your horses, you have to think about where their joints are. They're in very specific locations. Changes a little bit for the breed, but not enough where you can ignore it. Right? This muscle is going to bend out. It's going to curve in here to this tendon that's here to the hock. The hock comes back and is engaged. right? The tendons here, there's a series of very important tendons that come down here, and you have to sort of know them. So it's bones and tendons on these legs. Down, and then a little triangle that is the hoof. This is going to have a little bit of perspective in it, so you're going to have an ellipse there. It's going to curve in. Now, I'm going to add a little bit. See this negative space right there? I'll move it over to where I am. This negative space right here is super important. So I'm going to think about that a bit and make sure that in the next part of the hoof, I've got that represented in. This, however, has to pull his other haunch out, and this leg is much more actively engaged. Now, one of the things that was pointed out is this animal has what's called a bucking strap, which is not really that ethical. And in defense of many, many ranchers and cowboys, they do not in general jump on their horses and just hope it all works out because horses are their companions and they're valuable, and that would not be a really great idea. But this did happen in the West in the same sort of way that I guess people to get together to show that they're capable.
Well,
you know, they would show that they could ride like this. So this would be foreshortened here and kind of peek out. And then we see the hoof come out this way. So see, this is a very engaged set of back legs, isn't it?
yes.
I'm just trying to see if I've got everything too long. Sorry.
No, it's
that
all right.
kind of a day.
It's very interesting to see you draw it in.
You know how I do.
Yeah.
Just got to make sure that I've got it kind of engaged correctly.
Just get those. Yeah. Now you've done some horse drawing, which
yeah,
helps here.
I do some of these. So now you're kind of in my house of stuff.
The house of horse.
The house of horse. You know, and there's just things that their legs and body has to do for them to do certain motions. This particular behavior, the animals have learned how to do to get predators off their backs. So it's probably not a good sign to the rider that he's up to this right now. But again, the rodeo is a particular sport, and the animals are trained to do this. But in general, real ranchers use herding behavior to train their animals. Not that y'all need a horse education in any way. I'm just saying, in general, use herding behaviors to gain trust in community, because they, you know, are a particular type of creature and they respond to certain.
I'm not sure how much of this I can zoom in on so I can see.
I've got him in probably a little more engaged buck.
I'm trying to show both what you're drawing there.
See, the problem is I've got him down low, so I'm going to have my shadow down here. It is what it is now, guys.
He is a tall horse.
No, he's just
that
forward,
side.
And I'll have to move the clouds here and move his shadow here, and there's less foreground in my piece. And that's what's happened to me. And that was just about my placement.
Now you just know.
Well, because I'm just sketching him loose on a canvas, right? Normally in my process, I go to paper first and I work a lot of stuff out on my paper and do several revisions.
And this is why we talk about tracing as a tool, not cheating.
Not a cheat. But, you know, this is a good way for me to show y'all how I would get him in. And especially if I was like, say we were plein air painting, we would be doing some sketches from this perspective, right? Wouldn't we?
You're kind of asking the wrong person. I think that's true.
I think that's true. So I'm trying to talk about the rider's knee and foot coming to about. He's heels way too far in the stirrup, but that's fine. I'm not here to tell him he's right or wrong. Just want to make sure that I've got that in. So it just takes me a minute. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Not
all right.
as fast as
It's all right.
usual.
We're not having a race today.
We're not?
We're not. We're just painting and drawing and doing our thing.
Thank you, babe. Sometimes I feel pressure to get these done in a real timely fashion because, you know, I know people's time is precious and we get a lot of feedback like, oh, you took up too much of my time. And people's time is precious. But art is not really necessarily speed activity. So I'm curving the saddle back, and I'm showing how this is coming up here. This lets me know that this is going to be here, and then there's going to be this seating area. I love Western saddles because they're like a Cadillac seat. You're just English saddles, man. You're barely in it. Western saddle, you're in it to win it, man. You've got to be really, really off your... I'm not going to, by the way, put in the bucking strap. Just that's a personal choice I'm making. We're going to say that there's some other reason that this cowboy and this horse are having a disagreement about what's going on. They're working that out right now for other reasons. I'm looking forward to actually painting the chaps. I am going to show how to put the hand in. That's just a personal preference that I have.
You like the hand?
I think it's an interesting... It's interesting in the construct of the event, right? And I'm going to make this probably more of a Western vest than he's wearing safety gear.
Yes, I saw that.
So we're going to make an artistic decision to say, no, it's a leather vest.
Gotcha.
Because that'll look better.
Mm-hmm.
But we need this because it hid our hat a little bit.
Right. I'll put that picture-in-picture back in there for him.
So keep in mind that on a shoulder and an arm, you need to make sure that the midway point would fulcrum down to the waist. It's important. And I'm going to draw, this is my whole thing, the paddle. Everything about this hand is going to end up being off that paddle, and I'll show you how I do that.
Stephanie thinks that the cowboy should be riding a bicycle.
A bicycle? Let me tell you, that would be a much worse day for him.
I think it'd be more fair.
Horses are actually a lot more civilized about this whole experience, and the bison would be just like...
Not having
that
it.
is, you know what? Bison is like, you out of your mind. That was a huge mistake, and now you're going to pay for days.
He'd be like, you remember that day when I was just standing there looking at you? Remember that? Now that I'm mad.
So I'm just adjusting his proportions to everything, right? Because that's really what we're fighting is the whole proportion experience, right? Because he's got a stirrup that straps around here where it should not be. There's all right, finally. Goodness gracious.
You figured out.
You know, some days are hard.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I have a joint there for a shoulder. And then, by the way, this will be fine by the time we're done. Paddle. I like to, I don't know if you can see this, but I like to, on the hands, do paddles. Because it mimics this overall shape of the hand, and it's easier then for me to come in and say, all right, there's a thumb here, and then there's a finger, and then these other fingers are like this. If the paddle is in.
Gotcha. That is neat.
Huh?
That is very cool.
That is very cool. So we're going to put up with the fact that my horse is low. Right? The horse is a little lower than he should be. But that's about, for this size horse on this canvas.
Unless you had traced it and you could adjust it around.
I can adjust it.
This is what you're stuck with.
This is what I'm stuck with. So what I'm going to be doing is working that out, and I'm going to use dust and shadows to make this work.
Dust.
I am. Horse head there, neck here. Now, so the neck is thicker where it connects to the chest and will be narrow where it connects to the head. That's a have to. Right? You're not really going to have a horse if you can't pull that part off.
It'd be a very unusual horse if it were narrower at the body and thicker at the head.
It would be a really tripped out horse that is not okay. Probably nobody would be riding it.
It'd be a very scary horse. What is happening to you?
Now his head fulcrums off this and kind of comes a little bit forward, so it's making this little interesting shape here.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to make sure that I've got all my curves to allow for that. All right, and his nose is going to end about here. Here's my favorite kind of little nose, where he's having to think about something. He's not liking it.
I think he's thinking about getting something off his back.
I think he is too. Though something to keep in mind, horses get the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you know, the reason that, like, in the Middle East they could get horses to lay down and bury themselves in the sand is they understand there's a hiding game. We're going to get somebody. So sometimes, and I'm not saying this is the case because, again, there's the bucking strap, but sometimes the horse is like, oh, are we playing this game?
Yeah.
This is the I can get you off my back game? I'm so good at that.
And Mary wanted to say thank you for showing the free hand. She appreciates that.
Well, and just to know, like, some artists are like whip, 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 and it's all worked out. That's like I've said before, that's not my process. I can draw, but my process is more thoughtful.
Sketchy.
Sketchy.
And then you get it.
And then I get it.
And then you trace it.
And then I trace it.
And then you move it.
And this is because look how much moving on my canvas I'd done. If this was watercolor paper, if this was expensive media, that would not be a fun...
You're just painting on industrial paint. So it's like...
Yeah. He's in.
Done.
I need a sippy.
Okay. You probably need a reheat on your sippy.
I need a reheat and I need a moment. I could take questions while I gather myself. I'm sorry, guys. That was a little... live. Okay. You're really putting yourself out there whenever you paint or draw in public. You're really sort of exposing yourself to your strengths and your flaws and letting other people see you.
So I'll come and grab that. The couple questions that I have seen that have come up here
Perfect.
Are talking about how you do the gesture and the material, the wax or chalk pencils you're using, and what and how you're doing that.
Okay. Just if you have me on here, I can totally talk that out. I will talk that out to them. All right, gesture. Gesture is probably the biggest thing in painting. Artists, one of the things that takes an artist from, from being at a beginner stage into moving into a more confident stage, is the ability to capture gestures, to recognize that it's more than the subject matter, it's more than the environment. So this is the subject, everything around him is the environment. Sometimes artists are very good at environment or very good at subject. Sometimes they can do subject and environment, but they really struggle with gesture. And so if you look at, and gesture is not a stick figure. Gesture is the lines, the energy of the motion. So this is horse's gesture, is this curve here. And there's a gesture here and here. The cowboy's gesture is here and here. So when you're looking at how am I drawing something and you're trying to make it seem more exciting or you're trying to make it more energetic, even if someone is just standing in what seems like a very static pose, if you exaggerate the gesture and then draw your figure around it, your subjects will have just a little more dynamic energy. There is an artist, Holgarth, who did a whole series on dynamic drawing, and I think really explains it very, very well if you want to look that up, and talks about how, like, all right, comic book people. So when you're looking at comic book artists are the masters, in my opinion, of gesture. Because they have very small spaces, they have to be very dynamic, they have to express a lot with very little, and so they have to lean into the gesture space. So when you look at a character like Deadpool, and this is something that's very interesting to me, when you see Deadpool's hands, Deadpool's fingers are always very curled, aren't they? When his fingers are out like this, they're not straight, they're flared. So everything in Deadpool is so energetic in that character's design that you're very aware of the instability of the inner turmoil of the character. Seriously, seriously.
Yes, I know.
Right?
We talked about it.
Wolverine, look at Wolverine's gesture. He's very taunt. His gestures are small and compact. You know, Plastic Man. I mean, just any comic character, when you start looking at comic art, Look at the gesture of the art. Even buildings, comic artists, what do? Sometimes they not just foreshorten, but they curve the scene, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what that is. What was the other question? Oh, the pencil.
Pencil. What were you using?
Okay.
Was it wax
so
or
this
chalk?
is the General's charcoal white pencil. There's better versions of this, but this is economical, and I can get these most places. And it's just a white charcoal pencil that I can sketch over, and it means that if I need to erase, I can just use a wet brush to accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I hope my paint isn't so skinned I can't use it, because I was at this forever.
That's right. You just drawing. We got the background in, and we saw you draw in a horse and a guy. Pretty much. Well, you did freehand it.
Yeah. Now what I'm going to do here is, yes, my paint is skinned, but I'm going to take my palette knife
and skish it. Why? You're not supposed to do that. It's cured already.
It's gonna kind of maybe save it.
You're gonna make some textured paint.
No, it's gonna be actually okay. And if there's a turning point where this still works.
You made it in the window.
I made it in my window, and I'm just sort of enlivening my paint, and then I'm gonna hit it with some moisture, and it's gonna be good the rest of the way. You guys might not know that's a thing you can do. So I'm showing you.
You're rescuing it.
I'm rescuing it. This one was quite fine. This is what I love about. So one of my feelings is my favorite yellow ochre on the planet is Goldens. Just like my favorite white is Goldens. Because it's never... Have you guys run into the burnt umber, burnt sienna, cottage cheesy problem?
Yes, I have.
Golden has never done that to me. In all my years of being alive, too many years of being alive, I'm wiping off my palette knife between color mixes.
That was that's the first time I personally ever learned about the difference between paints. It was when I was painting my truck and I was using it for the dashboard.
I have another brand, but I would push it out and show you the difference, but then I can't hide the brand and I don't want to.
Yeah, can you push the canvas for the palette forward for me? There you go.
I'm going to mist here too while I'm working.
You just mixed up some orange there.
Yeah, I'm skishing all my colors.
Okay.
Right? And what this is going to do is it's going to keep it from, it's at that point where it's saying I want to skin, and I'm saying please don't skin because I don't want to put out new paint. So by skishing it, that one's still good because I put that out more recently. I can extend its life a little bit.
We have extended our
I'm sorry if our live is going too long.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know what too long is, but I think that we have a limitation of like 3 hours or 6 hours on recording or something.
All right,
like
we're
that.
not going to be here that long, guys.
No.
We're just going to really paint this.
Paint.
This is a beautiful painting, and we're going to really do that. So I'm going to take some of my burnt, and I'm going to mix a 1-to-1 with my Indian yellow. If you don't have Indian yellow, use your yellow ochre. You know, if you don't have all the colors, don't panic. One of the things that you guys are like, how do I mix this? Not every color is mixable, but even if it was, don't panic. Just worry about the values. Worry about how light and dark something is. Don't worry about, necessarily. I'm going to take a little of my orange. One of my very favorite mixes is cadmium orange.
I like that marble when it gets marbled there and that.
Yeah.
And it's dark brown.
So this is loosely mixed. When it's still marbled, it's loosely mixed. When it is one uniform color, it's thoroughly mixed. And I'm right now kind of at a 1-to-1. See, this is an interesting color.
Yeah.
A little different than this color. And interesting, and I haven't even gotten into the blues to darken it.
Oh, and
I'm just making sure that I've got a couple ranges of colors that I'm starting to work with before I get through painting all this. And I'm going to get a nice little, you know what? Not to make y'all crazy, but I'm going to get my cat's tongue out because I really like it.
And why I'm gonna do a quick wishing of a happy birthday out here because one of our community members I've seen, or longtime community members, Tiger Lily. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday!
She came by to join us for her birthday and paint along. So
that's awesome. And also Tiger Lily, very cool, very cool, coolest character on Never Never Land. Just saying, coolest.
Yep.
Okay, let's paint. This is a bay. And so we're going to paint the colors in of this horse.
It is a desert, not a bay.
It's a desert, not a bay. And so under the belly is a little bit darker. So I'm going to take a little of my ultramarine and I'm going to mix it into... I'm going to make sure I'm all misted. so this stuff doesn't skin, because I'm just trying to get through my painting. And I've got my number 4 cat's tongue. And what I'm going to say to you guys have been saying, oh, I can't find it. One, you can use a brighter round or any brush you're comfortable working with. I just like this because it's 5-in-1. So I don't have to exchange a lot of brushes through the whole thing.
Well, actually, we discovered there's a reason why there's been some folks having trouble finding it. So, one, these are just available. So all of our open stock brushes, we'll just talk a little bit about that. Our open stock brushes are just available. So if you're having trouble finding them, your local retailer may or may not know that they're available yet. They may or may not have them in stock. So those are just coming out in stock. So you'll have to ask them, and they should be able to get them, especially if they're already carrying the other ArtSherpa brushes.
And if you bought filberts, you're fine.
Right. Now, the other thing is that the some of the cat's tongues were mislabeled as filberts on some sites.
Yep.
So you have to go in there, and actually, if you hold your brush there, Cinnamon, there's a number on there.
Oh, it's a 4010.
Yeah, that 4010 number. That's the one. Yeah. So if you can always look for that, the ArtSherpa 4010. That's the number 4 the number 4 cat's tongue.
Though I think one side I saw had some different numbers attached. It was really weird.
Yeah. So, but we've
I have no filbert. So here's the thing: in the red handles, I have no filbert. So if they called it a filbert, it's the cat's tongue.
Right. And
right.
So there you go.
Just something to know.
And just so to clarify, a filbert and a cat's tongue are different brushes, even though filbert does mean cat's tongue.
Yep.
It's one of those things.
That is all through art. So I'm just coming here and I'm just going to try to paint my little dude in.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm looking for all my dark values, all my little shadows where I would just be like, where do I need a little shadow? So I'm putting my shadows in. I put a little shadow in at my eye. I've got some stuff working up at my nose because I know I've got some deeper stuff. I'm coming along the neck, right? Definitely need some under the belly. We're going to come here. And this is my ultramarine, right? And my burnt umber. And I'm going to thin and mix around because it's just because it almost skinned. So I'm going to be working a little harder with my paint. But that's just because I tried to, save it.
Now, an interesting question came up here.
I'd love to answer it. I'm just getting my dark value.
It's one of those ones that I think is highly subjective, and that's, is this going to be realistic or impressionistic?
I'm going to do my best, which is not going to be perfect, but I'm going to do my best to paint like this.
To paint in...
Yeah, in this methodology. My best.
Right, which one wouldn't say is necessarily realistic.
This is actually considered part of the golden illustrative age. So this is considered illustrative.
Right. Yeah, so
and I would say it's slightly impressionistic illustrative because look at the shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to make this like an invisible space or create this exactly like we're saying, you know what I mean?
Right.
He was more concerned with creating the true colors or true elements of what he saw.
And telling a story.
But obviously, looks like a horse.
Right. So that's one of those things is that, realistic is, even in the definition of the word is that it is interpreting things in a method that is leaning towards real versus imaginative.
Yep.
And so, that's a big scale.
It is a big scale. I am just coming along here just trying to get this in. And we may have to pull into black because he used black.
But you're definitely going to make this horse look like a horse and not like a melting clock.
Yes.
Right. So
horse, no clock.
Right. So, there's,
I'm blocking in my dark values. See, I'm looking through my sketch and I'm saying, where can I find dark values? This is what you should be doing at home. Where are my darkest values that I can... Now, not your darkest dark. Your next to your darkest dark.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll still be coming back with one shadow and one highlight lighter, then we block the whole element in. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely want to put some dark value under the saddle space. Because, horse.
Horse.
So I'm coming back with my burnt umber mixture. And I'm layering through here. And there will be layers. Ogres and onions in this horse will have layers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be an important thing that we're going to have to find our way through. And I'm going to have to find my way through, like, trying to paint in an accurate assessment of these muscle structures and everything that I have to. Because it's going to be a whole journey for me.
Well, what I have learned is that...
I said, let's teach some Remington, I said. That'll be fun, I said.
Where there's coffee, there's a way.
But we don't have enough coffee.
We do.
We do?
We do have enough coffee.
I'm going to just make sure that I've got...
We don't have an espresso machine, so it may be like, you know, home coffee.
So what you may not know, now I'm painting golden burnt umber.
Mm-hmm.
It's very transparent color, guys. So if you're having that experience, it's not like you somehow have failed at paint. It's just the nature of this color.
Which is awesome when you're doing umber studies.
Uh-huh.
Which you wouldn't think of, but that's like, it just does it so good.
And a lot of browns tend to be transparent.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to get him in. And again, what I'm looking for is dark values, lighter... He's already starting to look like a horse.
Looking really good. It's looking very horsey. Very jumpy horsey.
Yeah, they will.
Well, especially when you have a little strappy on them going...
I'm going to add a little of my burnt umber over to this mixture I made earlier, which was this into this, wasn't it? Or no, it was this into this. It was my burnt sienna into my Indian yellow.
That makes sense.
I'm going to get some zincs.
Oh, wait, you tricked me. I thought you were leaving.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm going to just come back here and work this a little bit. I'm just trying to talk about some of the highlights and some of the lowlights. I'm just working them out. And I'm blending between these two spaces because these two paints are wet. I'm going to be coming back with other colors, trying to build up.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm taking out some of the tack and everything that was here because I just don't agree with it, so I'm not painting it. You should never paint something that you don't agree with. Unless you're like, you know, a reporter. I'm getting some burnt sienna here. I'm going to add a little of my burnt umber to it that I have over here. I'm going to come down this neck.
Ooh.
And I'm just layering this little dude up. Just layering them up. Layered up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mixing those two together. Because right now I just have to get a certain amount of paint just on my horse and allow it to dry so that I can paint him in. Right?
Hmm.
And I think I'm going to put out some of my black. Wherever I put that.
I don't know. Which kind of black is it?
Just some Mars black. If you look at Remington, he did use black in his paintings. He did not avoid it.
Well, yeah, he did some, you know, the illustrative styling there.
But I mean, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, he painted what was accurately true.
Yeah.
So if it's accurately true, the reason a lot of artists will be like, you can't have any black. If you take other class, I'm going to just keep my brush dirty with my paint, but I'm going to come and get in my black. The reason some artists are like, oh, you can't have any black is because many students overuse black to deepen their color and therefore muddy it.
Mm.
So in an attempt to help new artists do better, they'll be like, okay, well, your black got taken away. Which can be helpful, and I am not saying, you know, the teachers that choose are wrong at all, because each teacher knows their class. Right? I'm just saying that's generally what is driving it. So I'm adding a little more brown to it, and I'm coming around here. Anything I overpaint, it's no problem because I can come back with my background color and take it out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can come back. I'm not stuck. It's okay. Just coming back with this color. Just making sure this hawk is here and these two are lined up. My brush was getting gummy, so I'm going to come here and get this. Maybe a little of this.
So Katie was
This leg is much darker. Yeah?
Katie's wondering how come you're not putting any color in for the horse's head.
Not yet.
Just,
I will get there, sweetie.
Well, what about the face of the horsey?
He's going to have some color, too.
Okay.
No, we're going to be very, like, enter an art show, finish here, sign it, be done.
That would be, they'd be like, wait, one of those people who they make you want to leave your painting unfinished. That's just not fair.
That's not my nature.
No.
Not my nature. John's known me a long time. But I have to get a certain amount of paint on this guy so that I can see him even. Right now what I have is a bunch of just crazy sketch lines. The issue with painting subject matters like this, especially when you're new, is there's so many skills, right, that are being worked out, aren't there?
Yeah.
So many. And so there's a lot to be fraught. So a lot of people, I'm just going to offload some paint here. Every time I offload paint, he's going to look better. You know, they'll avoid the subject because it's hard. And it is. It's hard, right? But, you know, keep in mind that hard is good. Hard is good for you. It's good for me. When I have a hard time like in this, I'm going to come out of this a better teacher next time. Hopefully faster.
Yeah.
We're going to get some notes. Okay, observationally,
yeah.
I already have something I have to fix.
What you got to fix?
This leg right here.
Hold on, why?
Too long.
Oh. Well, yeah, it's a long leg.
Too long.
Oh, no. There goes the foot.
When I can't back up from my canvas, it's very hard on me to assess things this close.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing that's I now have learned to use my camera as a way of doing that. And John will try to, you know, make sure that. Thank goodness for the dusty background, right? Because look, it'd just be like dust. It's all dust in the wind. There. Just adds a layer. It's fantastic. Just that leg is too long.
It's a little long there.
Too long.
No.
The leg is too long. The leg is too long. You know, you just gotta be like, oh, I see it, and it's too long. Whatever you have that you've got to fix, you've got to be able to see it and own it and be like, okay, I see it. You don't want to be like, oh, I don't see it. Can I see this on the big screen?
Yes, you can. Let's see here. There?
Yeah. Just need to take it in for a second.
Take it in. You can even step back.
Yeah. Oh, out of it?
Yeah, you can take a step back, and I can zoom in here for people, and they can look at it.
Take a step back, evaluate. Always evaluate, never panic.
Yeah?
Yeah. Don't ever panic. There's nothing so crazy happening in your painting that you can't make it better or get something out of it. And then don't be so caught up in the painting that you hope to do someday that you're not participating in the painting you're creating today.
Ooh.
Right? You're creating a painting today. You may have a better painting that you wish to be making at this moment, but you might not have developed those skills yet. So the only way you're going to get to the painting that you have in your heart, the artist that you want to be, is to keep painting. I spent a lot of my early time as an artist as very commercial. And it was very hard for me to transition from a commercial thinking process to a fine art process.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to John a lot about I felt I didn't have any voice. I had a lot of skills, but no voice. And the only way to fix that was, funnily enough, just doing a whole lot of painting. So I'll talk about, like, you know, that period of going through daily painting and going through all that. John was with me through that, but that was a lot about not working out my skills, but finding a voice. Like, what happens when I'm so fatigued and so exhausted from myself that all I can do is just create. Just grabbed a little of my ultramarine blue and get a little of my black. I'm going to have to freehand this in with paint now.
That's okay. We like to see you freehand in with paint.
There we go.
Mike Lee. Michelle Lee? I think it's Michael Lee. It's like Michael, but with extra E's on the end of it.
Okay.
So it's like Mike Lee. But anyway, so I've always, interesting names that come up. So she was saying that she's learning a lot about brushstrokes today, and that's really cool. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know that the only reason why I commented is I know you're like, well, I've got to go back and do this. I'm really worried about it. But no, people are really enjoying seeing the brushstrokes and how you're able to do that.
You can see we just shortened the leg a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's all we did. And it's not necessarily a big thing. It's just sometimes your joint needs to be up here.
You just like it better this way. It looks better.
Horses' legs all have to be the same length to reach the ground. This is maybe the biggest problem of painting horses, is you got to get all these legs the same length to reach the ground. These legs, all the legs.
Otherwise, they make a really funny sound when they run. It's like click, 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 click. So, yeah.
So we're just getting the beginnings of this little dude in.
Oh, I think she said I got it right. Michael Lee.
Excellent. I appreciate everybody's time, and I appreciate people participating in Southwest Art Week and Love Fall Art. I think it's really cool. All right, I'm going to keep adding some shadows and some stuffy stuff. I've just got, a whole lot going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got to get these things sort of worked out. This is not, it's simple, but then again, it's not. It's simple, but then again, it's not, man.
So now some folks were asking about the reference images and things. You can find a link in the description below to our website, which has all of these on them. And if they're not up there right now, they will be shortly after the show.
Yeah.
We'll have traceables. She has to we'll make a traceable from the image after the show, so that'll go up afterwards. And we'll make sure that the reference images are there for you to be able to check out as well.
Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep, yep.
Indeed.
Indeed. Indeed, indeed. Indeed, 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 indeed. I'm just trying to find this girth color, which is sort of this dirty yellow.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this little strap is under this belly, is some girth. We're just trying to block in some of the cowboy now.
That is the not falling off the horse strap.
The not falling off the horse strap is a super important strap. Very, very critical to your whole art, your whole journey.
And that's the one that horses like to hold their breath on, too. They're like,
yep.
Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. Oh, man, you got it on there anyway.
Probably you didn't. I'm getting some of my orange and burnt here, and I'm coming around. And what I'm just trying to do is just to paint some of the values that are the saddle, right? Just going along, creating some value sets for the saddle. Just painting in the layers so I can see them. What have I got? Right, get some zinc. There's some light on this back side. Looking for lights and darks. Lights and darks. So you know what I've learned? Don't paint Remington on the show.
Yeah.
It's paintable. It's just not quick. For me.
Well, and you're
for
also
some artists it might be quick.
You're also working out the horse lay out live. I mean, you didn't pre-trace out an image that you're just, laying in, which would probably have been faster.
Much faster.
And in retrospect, perhaps a bit better prepared for the day, but
Well, I had been wanting on this week to sort of really show people how I construct the paintings, and so it was like...
It's not
No, I
commentary
know.
on you.
I don't feel criticized. I'm just saying, what was my thinking before my error? Is all I'm sharing with you, as I just thought it would be useful. We so enjoyed the still life. Everybody so enjoyed seeing the process of the still life.
So you feel that this is a 2 hoot.
I'm changing it.
It's a 3 hoot.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's going to be time intensive, and also because how I'm having to teach it.
Yeah. So it's a bit more complex than you originally thought then.
In some sense,
and
yes.
That's okay. It was just they were talking about that in chat too. They were like, "This is feeling a little more 3 hootish."
I'm sorry, guys, 3 hoot.
No, it's not. Again,
This is really good though, right here.
It is looking really good.
So I just grabbed some of my burnt umber and my cat orange. The reason it is so illuminated into the paint like it is because the cadmium. It just that's the joy of real cadmium. That's real fun right there. I like that whole little spot. Super happy. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a little blend. My paint is still sort of tacky, and see how I'm just taking the brush and wiggling it back and forth?
Yes.
I am creating soft lines, aren't I?
Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
You know what's going to really, really get me? Is that girth. I'm telling you right now.
It's getting that horse, too. He's not happy about it.
No, I'm fine with the horse. The horse is going to come out. He's going to be gorgeous.
No.
The painting's going to be spectacular. I'm going to get a little of my ultramarine and a little of my Doc's purple. And I'm going to tone it a bit with my cad. And that's going to be this weird underpaint of my jean area. Now later I'm going to come through. This also weirdly is going to probably be my shadow color. Because we're learning a little bit from Mr. Remington, and so we're trying to do that.
Could you, next time you're over on your canvas, could you slide it up again a little bit?
Slide this one up?
Yes.
What is happening with the camera? It's up further every day. I think the camera's creeping back.
I'll have to go check it out after the show. I have been over there mucking around with things, so I may have bumped it.
Like every day, I gotta just push this thing back and back and back and back.
Oh, I'll check it.
This is going to help the little bit of blue that I'm going to pop on here really pop. Because we didn't use phthalo to cheat. We're totally being ultramarine.
It's very purpley.
This here, yeah, because we mixed a little cad and a little purple into it. We're creating this lower tone value that we're going to, this is sort of the shadow. We're going to be really dependent on our highlights to get through. Super dependent on our highlights to get through.
You're still using the same number for cat's tongue?
Yeah, I'm just using the number for cat's tongue for right now.
I just wanted to make sure that's what we were still on.
And I'm going to just, see how I'm softening between the leg and here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to create this shadow space that's blended. Oh, I like that. Stupid girth. Stupid girth. All right. So much to do. We need some cream color up here. I'm going to take a little of my ochre and maybe a little of my ultramarine. Just a smidge. And I'm going to put out some more titanium white because I need it, and mist everything because I need it. And get in some basis of his shirt, I suppose. Oh, this is going to be like... This is the Sherpa challenge now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've got going, is the Sherpa challenge. Right? Can I, in a minute, put down little highlights and lowlights of paint to make this whole thing magically come to life? Guys, right now, my honest answer is I don't know. Hoping. So I'll have to come back with my vest color, Otherwise, he looks like a crazy hunchback. And we don't want that. I'm going to work these withers. I need to give myself a rest. Put my misting out. And I may put some glazing agent out. Just start coming here. That's too bright, but that's okay. Need some paint anyways. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to take a little, I'll put some more of my burnt umber back into the mix. And so what I'm having to do here is create a particular rich density of brown. Because my colors are opaque. And how I'm going to correct for that is just get enough paint on there that it's pretty. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, right? Hopefully find a way to talk about these haunches so that they feel really awesome and authentic. And muscular. So if you're looking at the haunches, the highlights are right here, aren't they? And on the top, because, you know, horse is outside in the sun. So I'm letting some of this build up like you do. That's a little of my purple and my burnt umber. I'm going to come back here. And I'm just trying to build up these highlight spots and these shadow spots. So that when I come and hit with just a few, it goes boom, 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 horse.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like work, 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 boom, 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 horse. And I'm just having to make sure that I'm paying attention to things like the coloration. If I need a little black, I need to get it when I need it. Like there's a little bit coming back here. I'm coming along the back of the leg, and I'm looking in this space right here at the coloration, and I'm very lightly talking about that a little bit. It's going to be pretty awesome later when I add the highlights over the black. Real similar to what you might have to do if you had a black cat or a black dog or black anything when you paint black fur.
Everybody is really enjoying that you're taking the time to teach all of the steps of this. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There are lots of people who have commented and said, thank you very much for taking the time and doing this. This is really valuable.
I appreciate that. I got a little of my yellow ochre in my white because his little forelock here has sort of like this off-white hair. And then it's a little bit up here, and we'll have to work that out as we're going.
And a forelock, for those of us who are not horsey.
That forelock, the little hairs off the back of his little...
Okay, so...
Yeah, this is the forelock. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so I don't know what this stuff's
here's
called.
What, language? Not really my friend right now.
You're thinking about paint, not about... So
yeah, is the problem. I just grabbed some zinc.
Okay.
So I can come work this hoof a little bit, and I'm going to make sure that the hoof is highlighted at the back. And I'm going to come right into this black, and I'm going to maybe grab some brown. And it needs to have a shadow at the front. See how we got here?
Yeah.
If you did the lemon or the knife or any of that, you can do this painting. For sure. Grab some more zinc. Just make sure. Ah, there we go. Finding it. Good grief. There are times when I'm looking for a painting and I'm like, where is it? Where is it? See?
Mm-hmm.
Now the hoof is there. Who's got a hoof? He has hoof. If you overpaint like I just did there, you know what you got to do. Trim it back with your background. See how nice it is to have a bunch of background color when you're doing a painting like this? Look at that. Starting to be a thing. Get some more zinc. And come here and add this little bit of highlight he has in his fur there, and he has a little bit right here. Right here. Off the back. Let me look big.
Horse footy.
Okay, it's good big. All right.
It looks good.
Looks good big. That's what we're looking for.
Too. It looks good closed up.
All right. So now I'm going to take a little of my black, and I'm going to add some zinc white to it. And I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to, on the edge of my hawk here, add this little highlight.
I would call that the horse elbow.
And then I'm going to add a smidge of this. It needs to be a little darker coming down.
But I think that they have a knee and an elbow on the same leg.
Yeah, like I think this is, it's weird.
It's weird.
This is the joint right here that you're thinking of.
Yeah, they got the first one and the
little
second
highlight
one.
right there. All right, so that's starting to happen.
They got an extra one, which is...
I'm going to grab a little of my Indian yellow.
How'd they go so fast?
Fast? What's fast?
Horses.
I'm going to take a little of my, this is my burnt umber in my cad orange. I'm going to take this over to my Indian yellow. And my zinc white. And right here, I'm going to add a little highlight. And then right here, I'm going to add a little highlight. Across the back of the haunches. I know. We spent a lot of time on this horse's butt. I'm wondering if we need to finish this over segments.
If you need to, we can. We're doing good.
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, I can finish this today. Are we okay on meetings and anything we have to do?
Until 3.
All right then. So I'm going to add a little bit of this right here. It's a little white, so I'm going to wipe this off. And I'm going to just wiggle this brush here.
I don't think we've been on here as long as you think. It's only been like a little over an hour so far.
Oh, really? Okay. So my 2-hour guess.
An hour and a half. We're in an hour and a half.
I think we've got about another. How's this going, guys? Can you see
It's
it?
looking good. Everyone's loving it. So, I mean, it's like, you're okay. I don't think we're going to need to break it up. I don't think it's that big.
Okay. I'm coming back with my dark color again. Get your ultramarine into it if you need to.
I do think it's like, we paint this and then we're going to go relax for a little bit.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe get a little lunch or something.
Don't feel
Some snacky, and some relaxation for a little while.
This is where my mom asked me. She's like, you always get yourself into shenanigans.
You do. You overcommit yourself to the painting.
I do. All right, let's see how the haunches are looking.
Okay, they are looking. Let me see if I push this button and go. Do that. Look pretty good.
Better.
I like them.
Better, better, better.
Candace says, you can do it. Rah, rah, rah.
Candace, you're awesome. So I'm just taking, again, my burnt umber. I'm going to mist everything because it's skinning all again. Right. I'm going to grab a little of this. Maybe a little of my ochre. Come right here with that.
There's a whole bunch of people who are commenting. They're like, wow, I've just noticed that horses' legs bend in all these weird and interesting ways.
Yeah, they really do, man.
We know that they do, but you know, until you really stop and look at them and think about it and go, oh, there's some weird bones in there that are making some interesting extra joints. You know, it can kind of hit you like a...
Like it's a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah. Just
it's like, dude, what is going on? Yep.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to work out. So horse's fur is pretty shiny, and I'm trying to work out all of the shininess. So like, look, I'm looking for reflections here. Hopefully when you're looking at the reference, you can be like, oh, I see what she's going for here.
Hmm. Why are you hooing?
I'm there. It's getting there. All right, one more leg.
It's looking good.
One more leg, man. I got another leg. Come here, black paint. Come here, blue paint. Come here, black paint. Come here, burnt umber.
It's so funny because Cinnamon, she gets in there and she gets all in there and she's like frustrated with the layers of the painting. It's not doing it what I want it to. And then she'll come back and she'll walk away from it and come back and goes, okay, well, maybe it is. It's okay.
It's okay. So I'm taking my dark black value, which was a little ultramarine, my black and my burnt umber, and I'm coming back and putting in this leg in a more defined way. Another thing while I have this color, right, which is the burnt umber, ultramarine, and some black.
Mona says, "Breathe, Cinnamon.
Breathe.
I'm
going to talk a little bit about this tail. There's a bone in a horse's tail to at least here, probably here. On this type of horse, it's probably shorter. It supports the structure of the tail. But a horse's tail, and it's very important to know this, is not just hair coming off the butt. You have to realize that there's at least somewhere in there a rigid structure. It can bend a little bit this way, it can bend a little bit this way. The whole thing is so they can use this little hair whip to get flies off of them. Or also to tell another horse that they think they suck. No, I mean, it's easier than a hoof, right?
Mm-hmm.
You whip a little tail in somebody's face, they're like, ah, because these hurt.
Yep.
So just remember when you're painting a horse's tail, think about the fact that there's a bone in there. And sometimes that's why it's important for artists to study what they paint, because it's that element of knowing that helps them
painting
what their subject matter in a more realistic way and understanding it.
Mariana says painting live is nerve-wracking.
Is it? It is for me. I think I just grabbed my purple. You know what? That's all good. I don't even care. Purple tail, like, you has it.
You guys just don't even know some days.
Oh, that's really nice. That's actually starting to be nice.
So the excitement that you may or may not have heard was me catching a wasp that was flying over Cinnamon's head.
Really?
And yeah, that's what all that ruckus was.
Oh my God! I would have screamed if John had told me and run away from the show.
I know, which is why I was on the RoboCam for so long there, is because I was quietly capturing it.
Did everyone else know there was a wasp?
Nope. I did get stung though.
You got stung?
On my pinky when I was capturing it.
Oh my God!
It's all right.
Do we need to go?
No, it's fine.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, really, I am. I'm just fine.
Because I would not be okay. Why is there a wasp in the house?
I think it just occasionally they get in.
Oh my God! Let me have a little minute. You got stung?
Yeah, it's by my. So yeah, it's just, but it didn't. It stung through the cloth that I grabbed it with. So.
Oh my gosh!
Well, it had a bad day, so.
Hi! We had a wasp.
But that was what happens in live.
Oh my God! And they didn't know?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if anyone saw me grabbing the wasp live, so they'll have to let me know if they saw me in there going whoosh, catching it while you were painting.
And I'm just like, that's like a horror movie when the monster is behind the character, and you're like, it's there, and the person's like, la, 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 la.
Yeah, see, this is what happens all the time in TV studios, is that the engineers are secretly saving the hosts from monsters backstage.
Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out.
Engineers everywhere are agreeing that, yes, if you only knew, it's like Monster Squad up in here.
Oh my gosh.
We have to deal with werewolves and vampires and swamp things.
Okay, well, I'm freaked out, but I'm going to highlight the back of my hoof anyways. I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of my yellow ochre on here. I'm going to get my zinc. By the way, the Georgia O'Keeffe Day, super easy. Promise. and the Pueblo, very easy. We just started doing the landscape. It's going to be all the hoots. I won't lie to you. Landscape going to be a lot of hoots. A lot of hoots.
Yes.
So many hoots, John. I'm going to just take some zinc around here and Highlight that. And it's going to create a little shadow in the hoof, right?
Mm-hmm.
See the hoofs? Hoofs, they're all there now.
Hoofs.
Hoofs, hoofs,
Hoofs.
hoofs. Now I've got my zinc into this. And you can see, here's the thing. Here's the difference. When I do it with that, it gets all creamy. When I do it with zinc, it looks like itself. It's just lightened a shade. That's why.
Yeah.
I'm going to add a little of my Indian yellow to this. A little more zinc. I'm freaking out, but it's okay. Add a little highlight to this hawk. Yeah, I know I'm bothering. Wiping that off. Getting some zincs. That's it. Reflection right here. Really disturbing, John. Just, you know.
It's itchy because it didn't get an actual, it didn't get a full sting because it was going through a piece of canvas. I just got it just got the.
You're like Coyote Peterson now.
It just got the little.
We should
edge
collab
of the
with
skin.
him. Everybody tell Coyote Peterson we love him.
We do, but it's got that.
We'll have stunt hands get stung by stuff in the studio.
No,
collab.
I don't want this to be the secret. John, we're going to release things, and John secretly has to capture them behind the scenes.
I don't want that either. To be honest, I want to teach art, and I hope people show up for that. But I'm not willing to.
I'd be willing to bet that there's a group of people who would love to see me tackling wild cats behind you and just.
I'm sure.
But no,
right?
we're not doing that.
We're not doing that.
That is not
John
how
says
we.
no.
That's not how we get cats' tongue brushes.
That's not how we get them.
No.
We get them by asking you very, very nicely.
So
I mixed my black and a little bit of my Indian yellow in this color here, and I'm making some little end of tail colors. I just want some dimensionality here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wipe that off and get a little zinc white. A little less zinc white. I'm just creating the smidge of a highlight. See the smidge of a highlight in the tail?
Mm-hmm.
And then while you're at it, I'm going to get a little of that burnt umber and can orange. And add the top little blend out. See that? Yeah, I do that. I paint horses, by the way. Just in case you didn't know.
You have a horse thing. You like the horses.
All right, so the haunches are done.
Yay!
And look, we are totally thinking of, well, they're not done because they still need the zinc reflections. Sorry.
That's okay.
We're going to add a little Indian yellow to them. We want them to be pretty light, and we're going to come right here. There needs to be one right here. Because, again, we're doing this in the style of Remington, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we have to pay attention to how he painted his subject matters. And so there would be this here. And I feel like I see a small one here. And for sure we'd have one right there. All right, let's see if we're more in the Remington. Yes, we're getting there. Sorry, it's just important. These highlights characterize the style. And understand he probably had lead white, which is a totally unfair advantage to everything we're doing. All right, because everyone's probably super excited about it, we'll paint the horse head for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone's probably like, we've been painting this horse butt, and that's not really where I want my attention, but okay. But the thing, I'm just trimming the hawk here. In the belly. So they look crisp, see? Hard lines, soft lines. That's how we mimic an oil painting. And we'll check it against the Remington. And you guys are fully unwelcome to be like, I think you did good, or I'm erasing all my chalk lines around his face. I'm erasing them.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, I'm just putting out new paint.
Okay, new paint time.
This is just, I'm sorry. I know this is wasteful, guys, and probably stressful to see,
happens.
but, you know, what can we do? Butterfly!
Let's see what it makes.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
I'm squishing and painting. I gave myself too hard of a job, and now everyone's here just going, is she going to do it? I don't know. Remington butterfly.
Yay!
Woohoo!
That's pretty cool.
Woohoo!
So you're going to put out new paint. So tell us what paint you're putting out there.
Same colors. I'm going to put out I'm going to put out my Indian yellow because I really like it. Smidge. Actually, I'll just put my cat out the next time I go to get into it because it's expensive, and I know I'm going to some cad orange, and I'm only going to need it when I'm doing the shadow again. Oh goodness. So I've got my Indian yellow, my cad orange, I have my yellow ochre. Is it interesting to everybody today that we had no cad yellow medium? Because that would never have been used. It's a much more recent paint. He would have had several other types of yellows. And probably real Indian yellow. So I'm going to put out some zinc white. And I'll put it over here so I know where it is. Right. And put out some titanium white. And I'll put it over here. Probably need more of it.
There we go.
Still going to need some ultramarine. Gonna need some burnt umber. We know that. And I'll still put out some burnt sienna, though I really like the All right. Somebody had said they wanted me to show like how I'd mix all these colors if I didn't have them.
Yes, that is a regular question.
No, I was like, really? All right. So titanium white. Was there a color I had out that I'm just not? Oh, it was the cad red, wasn't it?
Oh yes, because yes.
Yeah, but I'm not putting that out right now because I'm going to use it later.
Okay.
Oh, and Mars black. I'll put that over here. So you kind of see it's like my darkest values are down here and my lightest values are around here, and I have them separated up so they're easy, because these two can be difficult to see from each other even though they're very different to colors. Sometimes it's nice to separate them by other colors. All right. Horse's head.
Yes.
Horse's head.
With your fresh paint.
Fresh paint. I take my black and my purple and a little bit of my blue. See, you can see what it is with the zinc white. I'm going to come here to the nose, and I'm going to start talking about it. Little nose. Got a little nose. Just start pulling that back. There's this, bays will have a darker nose, so it's important to get that in there. I think this is probably the most realistic horse we've done on the channel. We've done a lot of horses on the channel, but we haven't done one realistically. So if you'd been waiting for a realistic horse, this might be actually a pretty good day. I think this might be a good day for Janine, whom we need to really send love and light to. I hope she's doing really, really well. All right. I'm going to also put kind of a shadow under his jawline here. And I probably will mix some of my background color all up again because...
You need some?
Let's see if we can get it. A little more yellow. But that's fine because we'll add a smidge of the orange. See? This is actually, I'm looking at this for, I'm testing some palette knives for palette knives so I can set in the future. So... Added a little purple to that, like you do, and you can see how it neutrals it out a lot, doesn't it? Desert sand. And then you can use the white to lighten or darken as you need. And this is going to let me just come along here.
So, Pogwire Rogue from Ireland says, hello, I'm definitely going to try this, but it's going to be later today.
Yeah, man, it should have been later today for me, too. But at least we'll say, hey, we have this on the channel. Like someone's like, can you paint a realistic horse? Yes, I can paint more realistically. and paint any way I choose. It's pretty much 6 of one, half a dozen of another. So I'm going to take out a little of my, I'll use my palette knife again because it's just so much easier to use your palette knife sometimes.
To mix things.
To do mixing, especially if you need a lot of a color. Right?
They say just breathe and mix.
Breathe and mix.
Breathe and mix.
Breathe and mix. I'm so grateful for real cadmium. May not be good for the world, but it's really good for my painting. Okay. Hue is good though. You can save money with Hue. Wipe this off. I'm going to come in here with this, and I may at some point darken this with my ultramarine. Right? Or black. I've just got to come in. His face is more in shadow because it's down. So that's going to be something that I'm dealing with, is his face being in shadow because it's down. I got to get enough paint on him where I can start putting in the subtle highlights and lowlights that he would have. And I made him a little Arabian right now, which is that his face is a little bit fine. So we got to get him more into a Spanish descended breed. Because the Spaniards were the people that kept dragging horses everywhere.
Well, because they didn't want to walk.
Yeah. You know, nobody has the horses, what they thought.
You know, if you're going to another country, you bring a motorcycle or a car. It's like they brought horses. They
brought horses, didn't they?
Walking thing is not happening.
All right, so I'm gonna extend this lip just a little bit. This slight lip extension actually demonstrates a little bit that the horse is straining. Interestingly enough, you might not know that. And I'm going to make sure the area around the eye is also dark. See that? It's just a darker. This is going to be a series of, now this little guy's ears are not pinned back, even though I think often that they might be. But right now I'm going to just worry about getting some of this shaded in. A little more black on the eye. It's going to, like the buffalo, it's going to come together right about when we put in that highlight. It's all about the highlights on this stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surus. Let's get a little of my Indian yellow into this. And I'll be working this face. Because there isn't great lighting on the face, makes it harder. Let's lighten the back of the jaw. And you know you're going to want to lighten the top of the neck. And I'm just painting to an angle that's easier for me to manage, is all that's happening here. Right? So I'm going to take a little of this color, maybe a little of my purple into it. Not too much. Get my zinc. Come here. Very carefully and gently. See what a neutral color that is? Talk about a nostril. And then there is a little bit of a lip. See?
Yeah.
And then right here. Oh my goodness, I just got to get right on it too. With this not bright white color, let me tell you. Right here. It's going to be super critical that that not be bright. Or it's going to be too much. John's like, like he totally believes everything I'm saying.
I do. I don't know. I like seeing how this all comes together. You know, because it's so interesting. Like, because I always think like that. I always have all this commentary or questions that are kind of running in my head, and I don't know what's going on. But it always I'm so excited to see just how it comes together because it's never what I thought.
Never.
Sometimes
it's not what I thought, and I'm painting it.
Like you put I wouldn't have put his ears there.
Really?
Well, I mean, I see that's where they belong. But
so the
I mean,
jawline socket comes up here. Your socket has to be there.
But once I saw you put them there, I was like, oh yeah, that's where the ears belong. But before that, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that's where the ears would have, because I was,
Yeah.
I'm not a painter like this. I don't do this.
All right. Well, let's get a little of our dark color here on our brush, just a smidge of hair.
Mm-hmm.
Just a smidge. I'll have to look back at this too, so. And I'll probably have to trim that there a bit. And also find a highlight with my zinc or something. So finding the length of his ears is going to be one of the more challenging elements of this piece.
Mm-hmm.
Horse ears just make everybody crazy. And there's a lot of videos about tricks on horse ears, right?
Yep.
They're like, it's a triangle here, it's a this, it's a that. But I'm hoping you see me just adjust, lets you know. Not just an off-the-cuff, easy, no-thought thing to do. This ear has to be smaller and foreshortened because it's across a skull.
Mm.
All right, let's see how we're doing. And I put it too far back.
You put what too far back?
It has to peek out from the other ear because they're pinned.
Oh,
if you imagine that there's a pin going through the skull.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
It has to be in line with that pin.
Otherwise, they'd look kind of like his head's turning.
Yeah, or just off. It'll just be off in some way. And I have to tell you, like, in Western art, off in some way is not cool.
It's kind of like being off on your perspective on a car.
Yeah, it's like, in car art.
It went from being a Lamborghini to being a Ford.
Speaking of, Ian Jackson sent me this video on the sausage method to draw a car, and I have to tell you, it completely tripped me out. One, in all of my years of art, I've never seen that. Two, right? Two, it was like a magic trick. I told him he has to make a video of it.
Yeah.
Because he was like, no, I'll totally help you. I'm not saying I can use the sausage method. I'm just saying it was pretty darn cool.
I've not seen it. I'll have to check that out.
He'll make it and he'll release it later. We'll talk about it again. All right, so I'm going to just add a little more right there. Maybe just a little more zinc, like here, right around the nose. Get this here, and then there's this weird little spot at the jaw. See, I've just got the zinc and I'm just dusting it out. Okay, now I've got some tack on him I have to deal with, which is not my fave. I'm going to take my burnt umber and maybe my ultramarine and I'm going to gray it out. Add some zinc to it. It's this sort of leather and I don't really love it. And I'll reposition here. So it's a strap that's going to come from the back down. There's a little bit over the nose, back, and then over through the jawline here.
Mm.
So I'm going to just use highlights and shadows to pull this little bit of kit out. And I'm not going to paint the whole bit of kit. I'm painting enough to know what the heck I was doing. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Get a little of my black. All right,
Come
just
down a
trying
little
to
bit.
talk about the strap. Got a little crazy there, but I can always hedge it back. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm just trying to hedge these things and deal with how they're impacting his head. Again, he's looking a little Arabian. I'm sorry for that. Happens.
That's okay.
In other words, his face, instead of being, oh, look what I did here.
What'd you do?
I made a boo-boo.
Where? Oh, I can't see over there yet. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, man, I really made a boo-boo. I must have had some paint on my hand.
Oh, wow, there it is. I see it. Doo-doo-doo. Fix, 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 fix.
Gonna have to. Totally like...
You got some paint on it.
I got some paint on it, right?
Huh.
Happens. My hand drug paint. It's a problem I have. It's a problem that we all have. No, just me. And I'll have to see how that's drying, like if I had enough brown in it, or until I get it matched. So it might take me a couple repairs in there to get that completely evaporated.
Huh.
I'll have to work at it a little bit, but I'm close, and I'll get it there. All right, so I've got his head. Let's see how he's looking.
Yeah, just scoot him over there, because you got a little, you bumped.
Okay. What? Scoot where?
Scoot, reset. Scoot him. There, a little bit more. To the left. See, it's off the canvas.
And his head is a bit refined. Is my issue. I'm going to pull him back over to my comfortable painting direction.
Oh, no problem. Everybody's really appreciating you taking the time to go through all this.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like so inspired. I'm like,
no,
really?
no.
Really?
Yeah, no. Everybody totally appreciates this. This is great. They're like, and if you need to, you can take a moment to dance if you need to shake it off, because they would have you. But don't do it on the wet paint. No bubbles in the wet paint, though.
I'm still dragging paint.
So it's okay if you're working it out. If you're in the zone of painting, that's okay.
I am working it out, guys.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to work this craziness out and see if I can get his nose and his head shape more.
Now, so she'd be doing this on camera or off camera. So this is like normal for her. She's normally
this is totally normal for me.
This is her in the studio,
screwing around,
growling at paintings.
I do.
And then sometimes squealing and dancing with paintings. So, it's a normal. You're just catching one of the more growlier days of
the growlier days
of why is the darned horse face not getting in the shape that I want it to be in? Except that it seems to be doing pretty good.
I'll get it there. I'm taking a little burnt sienna and yellow ochre. I'm just trying to find this tack.
Brenda says that I need to thank you for showing your vulnerable side.
Aw, you're welcome, Brenda. Well, we all have it, right, when we're painting? Like, for a fact, we all do. We all have areas that are just like, oh, it's like nothing. And then we have areas where it's like, dude, that was like a... And then for me, horses are a big deal because I love them as a subject matter. And I tend to actually paint them. And they're kind of a big deal to me.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, too, our emotional attachment to a subject matter is very impactful to how we... I'm going to grab some yellow ochre and I'm going to come highlight the back of this ear. Actually, I'm going to put some direct sun on the back of this ear. Too much.
Too much.
Too much. That's okay. Just come back with my base color and just...
Yeah, there it goes. You just made it disappear.
Yep. And I'll just work it back. Because I'm going to find it in a second.
I realized I am the exact opposite of what you would want in your paint studio. And
Are you?
That is a husband heckler and backseat painter who asks a lot of questions.
Possibly, maybe not ideal.
Well,
I'm going to add a little forelock here because I just really want it.
Oh, that does look nice. It gives it some drama.
Yeah, couldn't help it. Just has to do it. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to just...
They're like, that shading just instantly adds a dimension. Just bang.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're getting there. Cowboy's going to be a whole journey. It's never a good sign when the Sherpa's like, listen, guys, it's going to be a little moment. Yeah. But it is. And we have to, we put in the... So this is the ultramarine blue and the phthalo black and a little purple, right? That we did in the tail. We're going to mist everything. We're going to get it, though.
I know you are.
This is happening. So I'm going to come along the back of the neck with this dark color, right? And I'm just going to work this along. Now some of this hair is going backwards like that. And some of it has gotten kind of like wild. And I'm just going to use my brush to sort of talk about this. The way that it might be. Because, we want to talk about his hair. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not Andalusian. He's not going to have a big, beautiful mane. But he's still, he's got his little mane.
Yours could, if you wanted. You could be
That'd be a lot of painting.
I'm going to have an Andalusian bucking bronco.
Yes, you could.
That would be a really angry Andalusian. Be like, wake up one day and be like, guess what you're doing today? Andalusian would be like, what? That is not my job. You have mistaken me
for some other horse.
For some other horse. We do not do that. That'd be like taking a high elf and bringing him into a dungeon with a bunch of dwarves and saying, good luck.
Good luck, high elf. So along the neck, right, you might notice that it's quite highlighted. I'll pull this here. I may have pulled him forward. And his hand might be more positioned to his knee. Is what I'm thinking. So I'm erasing his hand. And without stressing everybody out to deaths, I might erase his arm a little.
Yeah.
Because I want his hand more positioned to his knee.
Oh, okay.
And so I just have to think about that a little bit. Come back here. And just blend this in. Right?
Yeah.
If you're careful with your repairs, they can end up looking like little bits of distant cloud. You know what I mean? So you're just like, I think this is really essentially what Bob means when he says no mistakes, just happy accidents. So sometimes in a painting you just sit through it. Even if it's a challenging subject, right? Mm-hmm. And you just find your way into that subject. Into this matter, into what's, being worked on. And then we're going to get our little bit of purple, and we're coming to our dark color. Let's work that out. Definitely have some dark under our boot. Western art. Now you know why it's so much money.
So many layers.
So many layers.
But it looks really good when you're done.
It does.
And if you like this kind of art, I mean, it's just, there's nothing else
like it.
Yeah.
And if this is what you're learning to create, this is part of the journey that you're on. So see how I'm just kind of wiggling and blending?
Uh-huh.
Trying to make it not obvious to the eye. Now we know a lot of this is going to be in shadow again too. So I can come here. Whatever I've got going on here is probably going to be pretty deep shadow. So I'll just wiggle this through. So I'm wiggling him out. So we've got this nice deep shadow here, back into my main color, just to make sure whatever we are thinking about is thought about. Now there's a bit of saddle here that we have to talk about. So let's get our brown. Yeah, a lot of his little strappy straps are going to be over that, but... And by the way, unfortunately, these are key in the painting.
Yeah.
So we stuck.
Well, that's okay.
Is that okay?
Totally okay.
All right. I'm going to take a little of my burnt sienna and add some of my ultramarine to it. And on my cowboy, because we're not doing the armor.
You're going to do it as a vest instead?
We're going to do it as a vest instead.
Now, would this be
so
easier?
I'm going to just take that out and make a little vest.
Would this be easier if we just didn't have the cowboy on there? And
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just a fucking Bronco?
I thought about, like, let's just do 2 horses, right?
Yeah.
But then I realized, you know, how many questions I'd gotten about doing something exactly like this. And I thought, when else is this ever going to be on YouTube?
Yeah. So, you know, you can do it without the guy on the horse. So you just have to paint him out, so to speak.
Well, even understanding the process, right?
Yeah.
How is he made? So I'm taking my ultramarine to darken the inside of the vest, right, as it's coming up, because that would all be in shadow, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Let's make sure it's all in shadow.
Now, there was a question here about using acrylic markers for signing your canvas.
Sure.
Now, can you use an oil marker to sign an acrylic canvas?
You can paint oils on top of acrylics, so yes, you totally can. You just can't,
use an acrylic pen on an oil painting.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be where you'd have an an unexpected day.
Or if you tried to paint over the oil pen.
Yeah, yeah. You just oils and acrylic. So the rule is fat over lean, not lean over fat.
Which basically means...
Well, it's 2 things. One, it's about the media that you're thinning your oil with.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is so deep it goes right into oil thinners.
Oh, yeah.
And things that totally mess with oil painters, of which I'm not an expert to talk on. That would be probably... But I am aware of it enough to be like, you may not want this experience. I'm going to get some of my yellow ochre.
Well, I'm going to give a big thank you to the paint engineers, the acrylic paint engineers, who designed that issue out of acrylic paint.
Yes, that's kind of some of what acrylic paint is about, is not having those issues.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about...
Not waiting 6 months for something to dry so we can get to the next element of it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about layers of peeling or sticking.
I'm just working my yellow ochre here for my vest.
We get a whole different set of issues.
Into my, in this nice.
Yeah.
Now where would my light be? It'd be on his back, right?
He's pointing to the light.
He's pointing to the light, but I mean, you just got to be thinking, hey, his light is definitely going to be on his back. So as you're blending these colors and things through, remember that that's where you're putting that highlight. So I'm working the burnt sienna and the ultramarine blue, shadow up into this. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have this nice little vest. Let me see how the vest is looking. Back up.
There we go.
Looking good.
Yes, it does.
So, yeah, not painting that impressionistically. This is kind of, I'm going to do the blue and the black again. You know, this is kind of like where we got our...
it's illustrative, realistic, stylized. There is some impressionism happening in areas.
Yep.
But on the whole, I would say that it is a realistic, stylized painting that leans towards the illustrative. This
part concerns me the most.
Well, you did a good job of capturing the illustrative on the hindquarters there, for sure. I mean, I really can see that. That's so, that really got that there. And up on his face again, you did a really good job there. That's a really nice, finished out areas.
So to make this work, I still have to raise it up again. Getting my yellow ochre. It has to go quite high to be blocking the hat. See?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not high, then his head doesn't let me see back. Yeah, okay, there we go. If you make the vest high, it looks like his head's down. If you don't make the vest high enough, it's not going to look like his head is down.
Oh, it's right there.
I'm going to just, and then, I'm going to come definitely get some ultramarine right here and just say there's definitely got to be a shadow under the shirt.
Yeah.
A little bit under here. You need a shadow under the shirt.
The shirt shadows make it like he's got an armpit there.
If he doesn't have a shadow, he don't have no armpit.
Then it's just a sleeve.
Just a floating
stuffed shirt.
Stuffed shirt of cowboy.
He's like, he doesn't want to fall down, so he stuffed his shirt with hay. That's what
pretty much.
But now you can see he's brave, and he's wearing a nice yellow shirt. I don't know.
Whatever it takes to get him through, right?
But don't you tell? I mean, like don't you tell stories when you're painting?
I tell I know
you
stories.
Do. So
this is a challenging area. I have to tell you, it's challenging. I'm gonna take a little see and break. We're making it.
You're making progress. You're doing great.
We're making progress. Yeah. We're painting this painting.
This is no problem at all.
Oh, this is a problem.
Well, I mean, in that you bit off a Remington live.
And I'm not living up to it.
Oh no, you are. You're doing great. You definitely are doing great. I just think this is one of those times where you realize, man, different styles can be more challenging than I thought at first. And what's great is that it's not like you're not doing it. It's just taking you a little longer than normal. You're just like, well, not doing it in 2 hours today.
I'm in though. Now I'm in for I'm in for the money.
It's actually, we're not doing too bad on time. Or at just a little over 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, so this is definitely...
I think maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, my God.
The only thing I wish we could do is, pause so you could sit down and, have a little video break, a little coffee, and then come back and finish it up.
Yeah.
But, these live things, they make it challenging to be like, all right, pause, everybody. We're going to be right back.
True thing. I'm just adding another layer to the leg because we need it. Add a little of this burnt sienna to the neck because we need it. Maybe in the belly too. Because we need it. We're just giving him some...
And by the way, they think that you're just doing a fantastic job. You're
you
great.
Guys are amazing.
So
I'm just adding color. See, I'm just dashing in colors and I'm using that picture to inform. And I'm using, my step back is looking at my picture and going, how is this going?
You can take a big step back too if you want. You can
I may need to.
You can take an actual step back.
I need a cup of coffee and a big step back.
I can zoom out and I can let them see. See, I can give them the... See, I have my default slow zoom out where they get to look at it as it slow zooms out. It gives you a moment. See, now I'm running out of zoom. So now you're going to have to go back in there.
You're right. Whoop. My cable. So I'm going to get my black and a little of my burnt umber. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to work this little knee and leg. Start layering that up. Like you do.
Like you do.
Dude, I'm feeling this painting.
Are you?
Well, it's because like some things are like, you know, like the Pueblo we're doing tomorrow, it's just a light joy, right? It's just a bit, it's like whistling a happy tune.
Everybody say it with me. 3-hour tour. Right?
I'm never going to live that down. Adding a little bit of the little fetlocks. That's it. Thank you, brain.
The furry feet.
He's got a little bit of hair in his fetlocks. Important. Because he's not a fancy highfalutin horse. He's a get off me, you total blank horse. I'm going to get a little of that mix I had earlier of the umber and the cad into my Indian yellow. I might even get some zinc into it. Right here,
You're gonna
I have to highlight this rounding around that coming down. Needs it. And not like a little bit needs it, like needs it.
Kim saying I should bubble you, but now I'm afraid because I don't want to mess up the canvas.
No bubbling.
No bubbling, no random bubbling of the Sherpa today.
No random bubbling of the Sherpa today, man.
This
it
one's
is a thing.
This is Sirs.
Well, some things, again, are like a happy little song, and some things are like a full composition, right? Some things just require more of us as creatives, and then it's just recognizing when those times are. Each has a value. Sometimes artists feel like if they're in this space that they have more value than artists that are maybe in a more abstracted space. I don't actually agree with that. I think they each have their purpose.
Now, Joe is asking here.
Hi, Joe.
He's so if you were interested in Southwest art, what other books or artists would you say to go take a look at to learn more? If this was appealing to you and you were like,
right.
Oh, I like this.
One, I would get the subscription to Southwest Art Magazine.
Oh, yes. Definitely a
I
good
think
place to
that's the
start.
best curated publication on the subject of Southwest art, period. It's a feeling that I have. It's an opinion I have. And it's going to let you know who's exciting in the Neo-Southwest movement because it's coming back. I cannot wait to see this make a full comeback. I am ready to bring all the blankets into my house.
We are subscribed.
Right. John's listened to me go on about this for a bit, right?
Yes, she likes that.
Yeah. Also, you would want to look at O'Keeffe, Georgia O'Keeffe, which we will be doing a piece from. Much lighter. This week.
Very different.
On
Southwest.
Friday.
Very different flavor there.
Very different flavor. You would want to look at, interestingly enough, after the Dadaist movement, you'd want to look at Beatrice Woods. You would want to
slow down and look at the Dadaist movement while you're there. It's very
look at the Dadaist
awesome.
movement while you're there.
Very awesome.
You would want to look at the Pueblo artists, R.C. Gorman and Pena and Harrison Begay. And I'm just giving you ones that I really, really dig, right? G. Harvey. Dude, G. Harvey is amazing. Actually, believe it or not, and no shade, Thomas Kincaid. I'm just saying this is a thing that happened. Thomas Kincaid was stealing his images and his techniques and had to let him go from the publishing house that they were with. So, or at least that was the feeling. That was the drama mill that was going around.
That is what was being said.
But wet Americana city streets and, think cowboys and yellow slickers, you are thinking G. Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
Whether you know you are or not.
With those really cool, oily, kind of smudgy.
Which is why the horse in the water was in the thing, because I love Harvey. But we'd have to do it like the still life. We'd have to meet up every day for an hour and be at it for a bit. So I'm putting the little highlight to the back of the hoof, and I'm making sure that this fur has the highlight that it needs. And I'm going to be coming through here, you know, I'm just trying to make sure that this front leg is engaged. And then, you know, we're going to come get our zinc. And what's here? We have this highlight right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Too much, though. Let's wipe off the brush and work it in. There we go. And that's the other thing I like about zinc. It is not as possible to do this with the soften a highlight like that with the titanium white.
It's a little more forgiving.
It's so much more.
What's really interesting is the way that this is, you know, as you've refined and finished out the legs and the head and the tail of the horse, it's like all of those pieces have come into focus, and now there's this out of focus guy who's like, I'm about to exit this horse in an unceremonious way.
I think he's actually pretty well seated, but
but it's more fun to think of him
in that about to go.
Uh-oh, maybe I bit off too much horse.
I relate to his feeling. I bit off too much horse. Well, in general, if I was to paint something like this, I would do it in a very quiet space. And I think that's why, you know, or I would, you know, now that I've done it, I would probably allot this over several days.
That's interesting. I know that a lot of Western art was about man conquering the West.
Yes.
But I always found, as my comment was just being made, I always liked when I saw art where the animals were winning.
Yes.
And you could tell that there's the moment happening between the animals and the people being referenced there, where it's like, oh yeah, it looks like we people are winning, but we're really not.
But we're really not.
And there's a lot of that.
But we're really not.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that sometimes in that Southwest art, where there's that commentary happening between, you know, the rider and the animal, or the, you know, the steer and or the wild bobcat. Which, you know, interesting things that you see there.
And I think important, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, very important. It's about that human experience, and you know, sometimes representatively, sometimes actually. So
yeah.
See, this is what you get when you make someone sit through art history.
A lot.
We then have to reflect upon
stuff that happened artistically.
Yep, that's what happens. So you're just adding some like layers of not titanium white, zinc white.
Zinc white.
Zinc white. Okay.
Mhm. Just trying to talk about this in the shadow it would be in.
And you're still using the same number 4.
Yeah, man, if I get out of this brush, I'm lost. Too much of this painting was constructed here.
Just on the fly.
I hope we're covering some of this at all, man.
Yes, and I think that's what everybody's really appreciated, is that you've shown every stroke of the development of this painting, not just sort of skipped around. And you've done it live, so it's not like any of this was, you know, none of this was any of my black magic, which
no,
I am known to do, but this is, you know, this is all just straight Sherpa painting.
Yeah, this really is. So I'm just coming in here. This is in deeper shadow. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, all right, it's starting to come together.
And look, he even looks rightly spaced off the ground. So
yeah.
It's not looking funky. It looks like, whoop, I just leaped right off this canvas.
Yeah, he's done more of a hop at this point.
Yep. So it's not bad at all.
He's got his little hop going. So it's, again, my black I'm always mixing with the blue. That's going to help me when I come back with my zinc highlight. And what's nice is this hoof is darker. So I can do a little less with it to define it. Right, as I'm coming up, I'll just get into my burnt. So this leg is quite dark. It has no socks or anything even implied. I'm going to take a little of my zinc and just at the back of this hoof. Maybe a little of the zinc at the top of the knee. Some down the side here. All right. Now, I've got this whole hand thing and leg thing I am still working out. right?
Mm-hmm.
That I have to deal with somehow. If you look, the issue that I'm having is my knee, the length of my leg to where my hand is.
Mm-hmm.
Because your hand can't be longer than your knees. If you put your hands down...
To your hips,
Yep.
your shoulders,
Yep, and so
over
that's where
your
we're having
head.
some proportion issues. But the hand has to come here.
Yes.
Because that's where it would reach to in relationship to this hand. So it makes my leg kind of a problem. We're going to have to work that out. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm shortening my leg into another direction and pulling it like this. So I'm changing the pivot on the hip.
Well, Michelle says it's nearly 3 a.m. in Hong Kong. She
Oh
loves
my
you.
gosh, Michelle!
So she's going to catch the rest of this on the replay. So
Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry.
see you later.
See you later, Michelle. Thank you for coming. We want this rope to be somewhat tight. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how we get that in. That's going to be a whole journey.
Mm-hmm.
All right, skin color. Let's get out a little CP red. Thank goodness he's probably a little bit ready, which means it's kind of like he's got kind of a reddish yellow skin tone that I'm going to be able to work with here. Make it a little easier on me. So I'm taking my CAD over to my yellow ochre. I'm going to add a little titanium to that. I'm going to just start there. Let's come here. This is just easier to deal with.
You do that hand first.
Yeah, so right now we're a little orange.
That's your underpainting.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Just getting some color on there.
I just got to get some color on there. It's going to be in somewhat skinnish tones. Because I don't want to go get another color. So I'm putting in my paddle. I'll put in my thumb.
Margaret says that the Art Sherpa is the best purple. And I don't know what that means, but I agree. You are the best purple.
Thank you. Alright, get a little finger out there, and then this little grouping kind of shape like this. And so I'm going to have to really work my highlights to make this even happen at all. It's going to be crazy. Sky color. Sky color will be necessary through here big time. Yeah. So let's also, well, we've got this basic skin tone that we've decided we're going with. Let's make sure that at the end of the shirt we have a paddle that we're dealing with. Luckily we just have some shadows and stuff, so it shouldn't be too bad. Really what I'm going to be dealing with is making sure I get something that feels skin tone, a good shadow, and a fairly decent highlight. If I can pull that off, I'll be okay. Right? So right in here,
I don't know where you're going there.
I'm going to get a little of, I'm going to do this crazy thing. I'm going to get a little of my Doc's purple into my CAD red. I'm going to come on the back, this is craziness, but let's see if it works. I'm going to come on the back side of my hand. And just create any shadow that I feel like I'm seeing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the only way I'm going to survive this. Shadow, 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 shadow. And I'm using those two colors to create that shadow. I should probably be wearing glasses, but you know, we work it out how we work it out.
Yeah.
All right, shadow on the thumb through the interior of the hand. Up here where the fingers are. And we're going to have to come back with, interestingly enough, some highlights. For sure, for sure, for sure. But also, very nicely, we've got a shadow here. Let's get that color again. Living shadow, right? And based on that, what story can I get conveyed? Now I'm going to take this interesting color I made over here to my skin tone, or my skin tone color kind of over here, right? I need to make a highlight. Found it, I hope. Is that light enough? That might be light enough. Oh, all right. Highlight's going to be a struggle right here. Need it. I hope I can make it. I'm going to do a similar while I'm here with this right here. Isn't this interesting how that ended up being kind of skin tone-ish? It's crazy. Back into my shadows. I need to blend, it's a problem. Across my shirt and into the palm. Great, need to come back with some blue. Sky color.
Yeah.
This is not easy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You will be working for it. Which is why I brought up the point that, you know, don't stress, guys. You can totally, I've got some of my Indian yellow and my zinc white. You can totally, the outside of the thumb, across the top of the fingers, here on the hand. Fingertip, if I can get it. Fingertip, if I can. Fingertip. So small. Fingertip. And then a little bit on the outside of that fingertip. All right, let me see this hand from far away.
Well, it looks really good close up.
No, it's great. But nope, the values are too big.
Too big.
Too big.
You're going to blend them up a little bit, make them softer?
I'm going to have to take my basic skin tone and get some zinc and really take my shadows.
Oh, that just did it. Just
down a bit.
That just made it all soft.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be fighting right here. It's super hard, really easy to mess up. Let me see. Back up. Getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there, getting there, getting there. Just really easy to mess up.
It's looking good, though.
It's a thing.
It's coming
journey.
together.
It's a process.
And this is where you can really see the value of having those layers so that it, you know.
Yeah.
Yep. Now we're gonna have a traceable up on the website after the show. So you have to once you're finished with the image and it's done drying and paint and photograph it, then you'll make the traceable from that.
Yes.
So That'll be up. You can see the link in the description below for a link to the website location for that.
Yes, yes, yes.
So what are you doing there?
I'm trying to get some highlights in here so I can create the couple of pops. See, where it is if I get it right, I only need a couple highlights to make my hand.
So you're just really thinking, so I know that...
Yeah, and not necessarily winning, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, it's doing good.
Hands are hard.
Hands are hard, but you're looking pretty good. The hands are coming together.
Well, hopefully, all right, let's get some titanium white. Hopefully at some point we will be able to see this, man. A little bit of my shadow color.
Ooh, that turned purpley nice.
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful color.
That's looking nice.
Maybe. Might need to give it a second and then get my shirt in and my
Get your
jeans
shirt
in
and jeans and yeah.
Think about it for a bit, which is why I said it's okay to tuck your hand away.
Mm-hmm.
And you may make decisions like that. It's not that I don't think you shouldn't challenge yourself whenever you're an artist and challenge yourself to things that you're like, man, I'm not really sure how I'm going to get that done. But you should definitely, there we go. You know, every once in a while, say to yourself, man, how can I get in here? We'll get this shadow back. Just want to get some shirt back. Because I need some shirt bases, right?
Yeah.
And that, like everything else, is going to be based in shadows and highlights. But while we're here, let's get a little of our burnt umber and our ultramarine blue. And make sure that we get the basis for the rope in for later.
Some rope basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm going to be working the blue jeans for a minute. The good news is, right, for all of us, there's a lot of fridge.
Yeah.
And we will be super happy for that. So one of the things we're going to want to do is the zinc and the ultramarine. Let's fold our denim.
Ah, yes. Painting the jeans in.
Painting the jeans in. The temptation to get into the phthalo blue is very high. But again, modern color, and would not have necessarily been in the kit of this gentleman at this time, right? So I'm just trying to create the wealth that would be the denim. Build these layers up. Layers, layers, layers. Again, how much shadow through here? Right, like we've got some brown right here, but it's super shadowed with our ultramarine. So we know it's here. We'll have to actually put this weird buckle in this strange reflection at some point. I'm going to add just this little bit of leather reflection right here, so you know that there's the saddle here. Come underneath with a smidge of our black. Right, under the girth.
Mm-hmm.
Get into my purple. Under. Sorry it's taking so long, guys. So I'm dabbing under the saddle. I'm creating these deep values. They're going to matter to me feeling like this is complete. I'm going to rinse out, I'm going to wipe off my brush. And I'm also going to go under my girth a little bit and knock that back. See that? Right?
Yeah, it's looking really good.
I'm going to take my blue and my black and a little of my brown. And I'm going to say that there's a little bit of something right here, but I don't want to paint all of it. If I paint too much of it, I will lose what it is. Because we don't really have enough information. What we have in here in information is a little bit, let's take this shadow also back on the saddle. Right, take that shadow back. This far, right, I've got this lip here, right? So that's my deepest shadow. I got to make sure that that's really good shadow. Under the leg needs to be really, really good shadow. In fact, if these two start to blend together a little bit before I put my straps on, that isn't going to hurt us. Now I'm going to get my zinc. I haven't rinsed the blue off my brush. Right here. Highlight half a D-ring. Right here. Highlight half a D-ring.
Sue says something very good here.
What?
She says you should not apologize. Everybody here is here willingly, and they want to see this.
That's true. I didn't kidnap anyone.
No, you didn't tie them down and said, "I'm going to take over your YouTube and force you to watch the Sherpa."
Thank you so much.
And then right behind that, Lord said, "Please tell her not to be sorry, that we're here for a reason, and we're loving it."
Have you guys noticed that I've taken the zinc to create a very high highlight on the jeans?
Mm-hmm.
How's that looking? Let's see. How are our highlights? Let's back up from our hot mess. But see how that little, there it is. Doesn't it? Okay, so like when you're on it, you're like, ah! And then that's why artists back up a lot, because we can't see what we're doing when we're on it.
You can back up.
No, I know. I know. You've got back up for me. I know. I was like, you can back up. You're not kidnapped. I'm going to take my burnt sienna and my burnt umber, and I'm going to make sure that I'm getting my saddle here. I'm going to get a little of my cad red, interestingly enough, on my brush and come right here.
Add some cad flavor.
Some cad flavor, because it warms it up out of the horse's space. And that's what I'm really wanting, is I want to warm it up.
And that adds a little bit of an illustrative tone to it.
Yes. I'm back at this saddle. And I'm going to come in here. Look, I'm just not even rinsing my brushes. I'm so funny. I'm going to make a lip here. And I'm going to... So saddles are rolled. The leather is rolled.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what makes knights and cowboys are harder to paint because of their kit.
Oh, yeah. Well, knights are in a bucket that just holds them in there.
Yeah, but it's a very involved bucket.
It is. It's a seat that doesn't let you get out. You're in it.
You're in it. Just grab some ochre. Let me see. Yeah, okay, so I got a saddle now.
Yeah.
And not, you know, impressionistically of saddle. Okay. Shirt needs some of my attention, and I need to clean up around the hat. Hat needs some attention too. Pull out some that, add a smidge of your, just make sure you're just, because some lines need to be real clean. Hat needs to be real clean. Now I'm going to take my burnt umber and my blue, and I'm going to make some shadows here. I may even add a little black to the mixture because I want it to be grayed. I'm going to say right here, I'm just seeking my deep gray.
Yeah.
I need to put in a deeper and deeper shadow, don't I?
Yep.
Otherwise,
You're just peeking off the palette cam's falling off a little bit there.
Okay.
There it goes.
All right. Just making sure. I need some new black.
Mm-hmm.
My black has gotten contaminated by everything around it, and I'm not getting crisp color. And I'm nearly at the end of this.
You really are.
Yes, we actually are coming to the end of this painting, which I would say is...
It's looking, I mean, like, everybody's really happy about it. This has been a really great project for folks who wanted to do this so they could have a chance to see just how it's constructed and how all these pieces would be laid in. And while it is a detailed lesson, it's very good.
Okay, let me back up.
As you see, it's looking really nice.
Okay.
Just so nice.
Okay, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I'm going to come and place a shadow directly under this vest and put this all in deeper shadow, as it would be. Grabbing my brown to show the horn of the saddle. Getting my gray. So some of the things that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to say, all right, so there's definitely a shadow under that. Right? Our shirt would come up and have some fabric shadows. Just because fabric, so here's the deal with fabric, guys. Fabric is about how it folds and how it casts shadows. So if you don't capture that, it's just never going to look right. So I'm really paying attention to some of the elements of my picture here because it's helping me know how to roll and show the shadow that I have, right?
Mm-hmm. Rainette says, I am with you, Sherpa.
Thank you so much for everyone who hung in and has participated in Southwest Week. I really appreciate it.
Sue says, it's been almost 3 hours since the Sherpa started, and this is another reason why you are the Sherpa.
Really?
It's because you can do it. It's like, you were like, I'm going to throw down this painting, and you just sort of did it in 3 hours. I mean,
I can throw down the painting. That is true.
I mean, it's pretty.
I'm going to take my
awesome.
white here. How's that look? Yep.
That just did it. That's awesome. Man.
So I've got to get back into my zinc, which had my sort of blue-gray color.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm getting this all worked out, right? Because this is the shirt. I'm not doing the pattern, though you could if you wanted to. If you were like, man, I need that pattern, you could totally do that. I'm adding touches of zinc white.
Yes.
And these touches bring that shirt to life. I mean, they're where the shirt lives and dies.
The shirt looks really good. Just like everybody is super impressed. They're like, oh, that shirt. That's so good. How did you do that? You made the shirt look like it's so real.
All right. That's probably the most Remington-y thing I did this whole painting.
Actually,
there.
It looks. It's actually the hindquarters of the horse have been really well. The underbelly. I mean, actually, all of the pieces you're doing are really pulling together. I think that you're just, it's hard because you're right on top of it.
I think that you know what, guys, that's a really good point John's bringing up. Sometimes it's hard because you're right on top of it.
Yeah, and she's not taking a chance to take a step back.
So I went my ultramarine, my cad red, my burnt, and my yellow ochre. I am making a very muddled gray.
When that boot gets finished in there, that's really just, I think that's the last destabilizing element for your eye.
Yeah, it is. It's so destabilizing. It's just making me crazy. So I'm like, let's get this thing in, man.
Foot's all fuzzy. He won't be barefoot. Or he shouldn't be.
He shouldn't be and won't be. Yeah, Twix? Yeah.
Yep.
She's like, oh my gosh. And by the way, for those of you who are asking, Blendy is just fine. He's grumpy and he has not felt like... He thinks that our assessment of him as pet and his feeling that he's a dinosaur are at odds. And he only really likes John.
Yeah, it's like he's, you go over to his cage and he looks at you like, you realize I am a dinosaur, right? And you just are bigger than me. Otherwise, this would be a whole different conversation.
He really has some strong feelings about him. John's not kidding.
But Blendy, I mean, like he's a chameleon. He's very cool, very chill chameleon. As long as you're not trying to mess with him.
Yeah, he doesn't like the messing with.
No. But he is very colorful and molts and eats bugs.
Yeah, and funny as all get out. Super opinionated.
Very opinionated about things.
Everything. And no, the dog and the chameleon are not friends.
Oh, yeah. No. Blendy is pretty sure that's not what he wants to do, be any part of. And the dog is like, I don't know.
And the dog either.
The dog's like, I don't know what you are.
The dog's like, I'm for squirrels, but that, no.
It hisses and it's weird.
Yeah.
And she just sort of runs around in circles.
I am adding this warm highlight over the top. It's hopefully going to help the whole boot.
It really is. I mean, I like
section and then
it's
there
really good.
And there. Okay.
Yeah.
Woo!
Now,
okay.
See, turn around and look. See, it looks good close, but see how good. And but look, it also comes back here. And see, it pulls together. See, that's just so nice.
Feeling pretty good about everything but that shadow, which is too strong. So if you ever get a shadow that's too strong, I bet you can guess.
Just touch it up there.
Yep. Let's see where it's at now.
Let's see here.
I keep looking for... We need a switchy one of that. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm happy, but I have this last little bit...
What little bit?
Of weird kit, which I'm going to say is maybe a yellow ochre and some dogzanine. These strange chaps.
Dogzanine.
Dogzanine. Let's add maybe orange. Come here, orange. Come out. See if it's you. Yeah, maybe.
She's like, maybe a little spice of this, a little spice of that, and then we have paint color. Which one are you using? Zinc?
No, this is the titanium.
So titanium white.
So I'm going to sit there and say there is some kit here.
Oh, you're getting fancy.
Well, some of what matters here is this.
Some chaps.
Some of these chaps actually really do matter for him. Right?
Because otherwise he would be getting thorns and stuff up in there.
Something would be happening. Right? And there's these straps that we've got to talk about. I figure out how I'm going to talk about them. Oh, I like that. That's how I'm going to talk about them. So, this is more challenging. I rinse out. I need a little more of my burnt is where I'm struggling. So the purple and the burnt umber and the yellow ochre all working together is going to make this crazy kit of straps. So that's wonderful. And then you just come get this here till I find it. And then I'm like, yes. So these are going to be the straps in shadow. And you're going to need to be pretty brave here. It's going to ask a lot of you. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be lowlights and highlights. I'm making the strap wrap around. When we catch the highlights is when this is going to be, but this is an important part of what made this sort of a stunning picture. Were these fabulous straps.
Those are really nice.
And he's got a lot of them, right?
I like those.
You enjoying that?
Yeah, it adds a lot of
Action.
emotion and
Action
so
to
nice.
We don't want to lose the action.
You're like, that almost looks fun.
Okay, let's back up because it needs to be like kind of a hot mess, but
Yeah.
yes, there we go.
That's
now,
great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How are you feeling there?
I'm getting there.
You're feeling better.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. How's our
Good.
left of our?
We're good. How are you doing?
We're going to finish this out with just what we need because this is all skinned and there's no point in being stressed out about it.
It's fine. We can
all
do
right,
this.
so all we have left, guys, is a bit of a dust cloud to create layers and move him to the foreground in a shadow. And I'm going to show you the Remington shadow.
And then we've done it.
You
managed to do this.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive.
It doesn't suck. Just saying.
I like it quite a bit.
And by the way, you may be asking yourself, because you'll hear this, that I'm holding my brushes too far up front for painting at an easel on a long-handled brush. And what I would like to tell you about that is, if I were in my full relaxed studio, right,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just painting loosely, I would back down the handle of my brush. But I am almost like I'm painting at a table, like you would use short handle brushes for, and that is why I'm further up my ferrule.
Mm-hmm. You also occasionally hear her whack her microphone with that long-handled brush
there's
handle.
a whole bunch of weird it's like some artist comes by, and I'm like, dude, film studio.
So, and
film studio.
And it's okay though. You can hold your brush in many different ways. It's holding it back on the back handle allows more.
Holding it with your mouth like Chuck Close, because he doesn't have arms to hold it with. What we're supposed to go by and correct him.
Mm-hmm.
How ridiculous would that be? The greatest painters on earth.
That's one of those like, man. Yes.
You know, John knows my opinion on this. When I get an artist who comes in like really intense like that, or hot like that, and I like that, I go look in their studio and I'm like, if you're that concerned about holding your brush, you're probably not paying enough attention to the painting.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of pomp and circumstance before the art.
Right.
All right, I'm going to mix my background color. Oh wait, I put out the wrong one. I put out the red, and I needed to put out the orange, didn't I?
I don't know.
Yes.
If
anybody caught that, you get an A. Not that we grade.
You were dialoguing like a villain.
I do monologue like a villain. But dude, I just want to point out, live on YouTube, I pretty much almost just painted a Remington. So.
And you'll almost just paint a Remington in just a moment. It'll finish.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm going to go back to making my color for my sand, my base color, which is my... And again, if you guys were in the still life and you got the Naples yellow from Golden or Liquitex, you don't need to do all this.
Right.
You just start with Naples yellow and then tone it from there.
Now, you're actually looking forward to tomorrow's painting.
Oh yeah, tomorrow's painting is super relaxing.
It's you were talking about like you want that to be the outside of like the gate to your house someday.
The gate to my house someday.
That would be awesome.
So see how I've grayed this with my purple?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to add a smidge brown to it. So I'm just creating my dirt desert color.
Oh yeah.
Dirt desert color.
Now,
and then also I need to create a Remington shadow.
Which is maybe...
that I'm going to put down before I put down my dirt desert color. So what he got flack for, because somebody's always going to have a comment, is taking carmine red and blue. So we're just going to do our CAD. That's not blue. Anybody laugh?
I was just thinking, isn't that purple?
It is. Carmine red.
Okay.
And blue. We don't have carmine red, but we do have the basis for the Remington shadow.
Which is, you're using cadmium red?
Cadmium red. It's a close enough approximation where we're going to get it.
Okay.
More to the blue than the red. Living shadows. Right? And I'm thoroughly mixing. Yep. Sometimes I pull it out to see it. To be like, is that it? It is. And I'm going to get, I know it's going to shock you, my Scruffly number 4 brush. And I'm going to just load it up. And under my horse, doesn't that make the day just seem brighter?
Yeah.
Gosh, total genius, right?
It does.
Now, he's less high off the ground, and he's closer to us, right?
He's not levitating.
But he is also grounded. Number one thing you guys ask me when you're like, how can I fix this painting? First thing I have to say is add the shadows.
Then add some highlights.
Then add some highlights.
I just said that. I don't know if that's true.
Just glazing it and putting it back. That's nice, isn't it?
It is. Actually, I really like how that just, even like now look at it. Turn around, look. Can you see?
Yeah, already. Huge improvement, but we're not done.
Okay.
I'm going to take my ultramarine. My burnt. Oh, must be so tired.
You are. Everyone was like, your Sherpa's showing her
fatigue,
her brain fatigue. You're like,
yeah, I'm brain fatigue.
This is a look at this.
All right,
green
let's try this again.
And this
There's
yellow.
our basic sand color. I've got my burnt umber and my ultramarine. I mix them together, and I'm making my deep value into my sand cloud. Right?
Yes.
Let's make sure our reference photo is somewhere where we can see it, so we can finish our gorgeous painting.
Okay. Almost.
I'm going to just take this down here.
Some dust.
Well, the dust would have a shadow, wouldn't it?
What? Yeah.
Yeah. You could even get some of your shadow in your dust shadow. Look at that.
Ooh. Getting tricky.
I am tricky. Dust shadow in my shadow. Next 2 days of painting, super easy. But hopefully this was like the still life or something where you guys were like, wow, I didn't even know this was a thing. Right, dust shadow. If you need to, you can make sure that this is more thoroughly planted. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wiping this off. Some of this and my zinc. It's okay to add a little of your yellow oxide back into it to warm it.
And normally I would be adding some bubbles in here for you, but
you can bubble now. It's safe.
we think you think
yeah,
it's safe
the painting
to
is dry enough now.
I'm worried. We're gonna do damage to your wonderful painting there because you know. But I know that you like to celebrate that we're at when we come to the end of your painting.
We're
you do
there. It might be a little premature though.
Oh, is it? Everyone in chat's like, you need to bubble her. She
you
needs
could
to
bubble
be bubbled.
me.
And
You
I'm
can
like,
bubble me,
but
baby.
I'm bubble apprehensive.
I think we've all been bubble traumatized.
We have been. We had bubble trouble.
See how we're just using our zinc and layering up our dust cloud, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to add a little yellow ochre to your dust cloud to warm it up and pop it up.
This is really nicely coming together. And now the zinc really seems useful here. It really...
Yes, this is an incredibly useful media for this painting.
You're just capturing some of that cloud, and you're really, and this is where one of those areas where the cloud and the shadow is much more illustrative than realistic. But even in its illustration, it's still representative of, it's still highly realistic in its representation. Boy, you know what? I'm having to think about every time I say something, I hear Reverend Tally going, all right, explain what you see, So.
You can't explain that skirt to me. Explain what you see.
No, he made us think about the artwork and what was going on, and that was kind of cool.
It was. It was.
But who'd have thunk all those classes?
Those days.
That one day we would be talking about art with other people.
In this way?
In this way. Would not have thought that.
No.
Now that's really nice. The way that you used that to make a highlight.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it may be dust cloud, but it's a fully conceived dust cloud.
So you're just dancing along there on the top to make
I'm paying attention to my highlights here, though.
Oh, so they can't. So I see that. I'm gonna zoom out so you can see how you're kind of pointing at that in two ways. I'm actually get rid of this too, because they can see that you're using your picture, your reference photo up there on the left to inform what you're doing there.
Yeah. All right, let's look at this thing. Have we done it, kids?
Look at that. Well, yes. I mean, look at that. That's, pretty.
Close?
I think that's really good. I really, really like that.
Close, not close. I don't know.
Yes, I think so. Yes, very good.
But I think a little more understood in what's involved in this type of art and how we get there and the type of work that we do and how we might mix these colors, how we might create these values, these layers, these effects, this kind of lighting, all of that. Because I still had to, pay attention to what was there. We did it! Oh, I got to sign it. Do you think this one needs signed? I do think it needs signed.
Definitely
I'm going to put out
signing.
my fluid paint.
Yeah.
Over into my shadow color. I'm going to get one of my signing brushes, my detail round. I should probably actually pull out my monogram liner for this one. Right?
Yeah.
what I do here that was super important.
You
signed it in a way that wasn't disruptive to the painting. And I'm going to sit here and make a point.
okay?
Right? I'm going to show you something, and I'll need the up-close camera maybe about there.
Okay.
Or maybe signature to signature.
Okay. Oh, sure. Yeah. There you go.
Is this a big obnoxious signature?
No.
No. This is maybe one of the greatest artists of his generation, if not the greatest artist of his generation. But did his ego make him put a big, ridiculous gash up there?
No.
No. And the reason it didn't is because he really cared about what he created. And so when he signed it, he considered it. And yes, people needed to know it was him. And look, he had a little flourish. He had a little personality. It's at the bottom, but it's not disruptive to the piece. So whenever you're signing your pieces, even if you're at the beginning, think about that, right? It's wonderful to have a signature, but as you grow, one of the things that will just cause you to look back the way you look at clothes you wore when you were a teenager and go, ooh, is a really garish signature.
Yeah.
So that's just something to think about. There isn't like a right way or a wrong way to sign. I'm just going to say this is something that artists think about, and the more developed you get, the more you will think about it as you're doing it. So sign beautifully.
Yes.
Because your painting is beautiful and deserves your thoughtful work, doesn't it?
We want to see them, so please share them. Please, please, please. I love seeing all the work that's been coming out.
So glad this thing came out.
Yes.
I was a little worried in the middle there.
Well, we saw you were a little concerned, but we all had faith, and I'm really glad that we got to see this happen and come together.
Yeah. Some goofs in there, some mistakes, but overall I think we did okay. And that's really the journey, right?
Yeah.
The journey is not about being perfect. It's about doing the painting and getting a lesson out of it. I even got a lesson out of today's painting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Things I might do, and can I do something?
Sure. What do you want to do? What you gonna do there, Sherpa?
I just am. It's just making me so nuts.
Mm-hmm. What nuts? Uh-oh. Well, you're getting right in there with the... Oh.
Yes, okay.
You're just like... You're like, needed highlight. Bang!
Really badly.
That's awesome. Just...
It's a vest, but now it's at least got the correct, because you see the ref.
Yeah, you're just like, it needs more tone. That's awesome.
Just needed it.
I like it.
Never be afraid if you look at something later to be like, oh, no. I love you guys. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Tomorrow is a super easy paint. It's going to be joyful, and we're going to paint our dream homes, our dream doors. I love doing these. It's just a gas. It's a gas. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I want to see you at the easel really soon. Thank you for spending the day with me.